Hello, everybody. So good to see you here Tuesday night, which means we are back for horror sci-fi stream. And I wanted to say hello to my fellow self-esteem panelists. I guess I'll go in clockwise. Excuse me, my voice is a little rough tonight. I'm gonna go in clockwise order if that's okay. Gorillas, random thoughts. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Getting kind of sick of turkey, but I'm doing good.
Oh, you still got some left, huh?
I still got half the bird left. And it's
Freeze
No,
it.
supposed to
bro,
be
at
a
least you
dark.
go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's supposed to be the dark meat too. So
that's the juiciest
Dark
part.
Knight.
Yeah, yeah. You should
See, Pop and I are the same.
Yeah, put it in like quart Ziplocs and freeze it up. That's what I would do.
yeah,
That
but
way
I
you
got to
can use
find
it.
where I put them. I can't remember where I put them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving. Nemesis, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome, Pop. I'm excited to review the movie. This is my first Hammer horror film, and it was a good one. I only upset at one part in the movie, really, and I was just like, oh, fucking really. But other than that, it's solid. I'm really impressed. Like, I've never got to see Peter Cushing outside of Star Wars, and I've never got to see Christopher Lee outside of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. So this has really been. It was really great. It was really nice to see their acting, and even though Christopher Lee's dialogue was limited, his presence was felt through his acting. It was awesome. I was just like, oh my god, right? Like, oh, that one shot where we'll get to it, but it was great. Oh my god.
All
Oh
right,
yeah.
Nemesis. Since this is your first Hammer horror like me, there, I got a question for you. Did you have a
Yo, what's
sense of
up?
like deja vu with it? Like,
No,
oh, I did, but maybe that's because I see quite a bit of vampire movies with Mr. Lundell.
You seen a bit of a bunch of what?
Vampire movies with Mr. Lundell. He had a few vampire movies he was doing on Saturdays.
Oh, so you
So
think you may have seen this one already?
no, I don't think I've seen this one. Well, actually, I might have. I was just having like the feeling of deja vu throughout the movie.
Okay.
like you might have seen it, but there might have been lots of people who did homages in other movies to this movie because it is an extreme classic.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, and yeah, no, I didn't know. I thought Nemesis. I thought you had seen. I thought you had seen this before, but I guess not, huh?
nope, nope. I've never seen a single Hammer horror film up until tonight, and it was great. Well, up until today, I should say.
And I don't know if you guys are aware, but Peter Cushing does his own stunts in this movie. He insisted. He always did, actually. He always insisted he do his own stunts. So it was actually him that hopped over the banister. It was him that jumped up on the table and ran across. And I don't want to give away too much, but he was a very physical actor. I'll put it that way. There's a movie that he made later on in the like late '60s, '70s, where he does karate. It's actually a karate movie, and he's really fast, very physical, in good shape actor. And yeah, like you said, Christopher Lee. I think he only has lines like the first 10 minutes maybe of the movie, and the rest of it, it's like you said, it's his presence and just the way he appears as Dracula. It's yeah, it's definitely memorable. And the good news is it was successful enough for them to make a series with sequels following this, and I really like that. And hopefully you'll be just as pleased when we get to the Frankenstein movies where Peter Cushing plays Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah. And this was
Yeah, I hear he's a monster in those ones.
No,
yeah.
he's Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, no, but he himself, like, not he's the monster, but
Oh,
he,
yes.
as a person, is a monster.
Yes, he is a bad
Like,
guy.
just to,
Yes, he is.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And not only that,
Go
Dracula is
ahead,
actually
Gorilla.
based on a real person.
Yeah, Vlad the Impaler.
Well,
Yeah.
right. It's all loosely based on Vlad the Impaler. He was not a vampire.
Yeah,
No,
but yeah, you like the it all stemmed from his being tortured by the Ottomans in captivity.
No, he didn't torture. He tortured people.
No, I thought he got tortured by the Ottomans, and that's why he became this way. That way.
No. He tortured people and that's why it was called the Impaler. He would capture people while they're still alive, and then impale their bodies on spikes, and then he would
It
sit back
wasn't a spike.
and you.
It was even worse than that, Pop. It was a rounded, greased up end that they would
Yes,
stick up the person's butt, and
right.
it was slow and painful. It wasn't quick.
Right. I was trying to.
It,
Yeah, I know there's so many certain things I can't say on YouTube, but right, he put it up through the rear end, and it would come out the mouth. I'll put it that way.
yes, it was utterly horrific. Like, yeah.
But he enjoyed it. He got his rocks off by sitting around and just watching it. So that's why. And there was also separately, obviously through different lore about in history, there's always legends of vampires. Part of that too, another thing that kind of started the day of vampire lore was back in the day before we had embalming. Uh, People would go into comas and they would automatically be presumed dead. So they would bury people who were actually still alive. They would wake from their coma, and then they would essentially be buried to death because they would be under the coffin. And then what happened was they would dig them up later on, and they would find fingernail scratches and all that kind of stuff, and the fingers, the end of the fingers, all tore up because they had woken up from their coma inside the coffin. Back in the old days, before they had a way, like now we know the basic way to check to see if somebody's alive or dead is obviously a pulse. And before that, they used old-fashioned remedies like holding a mirror up to the mouth. They would hold a mirror up to the mouth, and if they saw no vapor on the mirror, they assumed the person was dead. But as we know, a heartbeat can be very, very, very low, and it doesn't necessarily mean the person's dead. They could still, be very ill and wake up. And some people with sleep apnea did it on a regular basis, where they would accidentally. In fact, that was the basis of Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Premature Burial. Is there was a guy with sleep apnea where he would fall asleep, and people would often think that he was dead. And I don't want to waste too much time going into it, but it was very prevalent back in the actually for hundreds of years, it was a very popular thing. George Washington had himself buried with a revolver because he was afraid that he was going to be buried alive. And another thing that was known is people would be buried with various poisons, guns, things like that. They would tell their loved ones and say, when I get buried, put this with me because I don't want to wake up inside the coffin. And
Don't forget the death bell.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys are aware, but they also got to the point where they installed a bell above the grave with a string that ran down to the corpse, where if the corpse would wake up, it could ring the bell. And then, of course, you're assuming that someone's going to be standing around within earshot to hear it, right?
Well, that's where the graveyard shift came about. Was there's supposed to be like someone in the cemetery listening for the bells at night.
At some point, yes. And of course, the word graveyard shift now is just meant if you have a job and you're working like midnight to 6 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah. So we have a few. We have Cody Guy and we got Edge of Time in the chat. Good to see you guys. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah. Welcome Edge of Time and welcome Cody Guy. Cody Guy's waving.
I had that selected. There it is.
Greetings from the Edge of Time. The Cody Guy's waving.
Good to see you, Edge of Time. Good to see you, Cody Guy. Glad you can join us. Sorry, we're going off. I don't know if this was a bit of a tangent, but in a way, it kind of prefaces the story of the vampire. So I think it's kind of related to what we were talking about tonight. This is our second vampire movie on this stream, the horror sci-fi stream. The first one was obviously Nosferatu. So now we jump forward. I know I jumped over, and I feel bad about jumping over the Todd Browning movie, Dracula with Bela Lugosi, but we will eventually cover that if I'm around long enough. But I'm such a fan of Hammer Horror, I had to dive right in. I just couldn't wait any longer. I've talked about it for some time now, and I had to finally take that plunge.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised. And also, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it actually was pretty horrific and violent for a 1958 movie. When you compare it to, like I was talking about last week, with like American horror movies of the time, they weren't this violent, bloody, or gory. I know there's not really a lot of gore in it, but it was what they showed was definitely more than what they would have shown here in the States.
Well, and the vividness of the red of the blood really stands out as opposed to
Absolutely.
Americanized films. It was a stylized choice, and it defines Hammer horror to me.
Yes, they're
Okay.
well known for the color of their blood. People for years have always talked about that. It really helps it stand out. And
Yeah.
as we saw here, like I mentioned last week during our last stream, we get to see cleavage here. That's another thing Hammer horror is known for: beautiful women and nice cleavage. So you're
Oh,
not gonna
dude,
see-
fucking right off the bat too. It was amazing. I was just like, yes. Oh, she was so hot. And like, it's
Right.
funny. Like, I gotta find her name. Her last name is Gaunt, and I found that absolutely hilarious.
Yes, and I need to find the clip and put it up here, but let's just say we're definitely not going to be looking at any Rachel Zellwegers or that horrible thing that played Wonder Woman. I can't remember what it was, but that clip that we've all seen where the two are standing together and it shows Rachel Zellweger saying, "This isn't 1939 anymore," and it's got the ugly hag next to her that played Wonder Woman.
Oh, that was supposed to be Snow White, but that got canceled.
No, it didn't. It got delayed into the year. They're going to do a lot of. They're going to do a bunch of reshoots, but it was just delayed for the year.
Oh, I swore someone said they got canceled.
No, they got too much into it. And believe me, I wish you were right. I wish you were right.
Well, if they cancel it and not show it, then they get a tax write-off, is what it is.
All right, her name was Valerie Gaunt, and everything I can find, and even in the credits, her name was well, we'll talk about that in a bit.
All right.
Okay, and like I said, this movie was 1958, and this kicked off the horror franchise. Not the horror franchise necessarily, because they were already making horror movies, but it kicks off the vampire series, the Dracula series with Christopher Lee and as Dracula. And in this first one, we get to see, as we mentioned, Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. It's funny because Christopher Lee, even all these years later, is my favorite Van Helsing. I mean, Christopher Lee is my favorite Dracula, and Peter Cushing is my favorite Van Helsing. And I'm sure you guys noticed that at the time, Peter Cushing was older than Christopher Lee by at least 10 years. But they were good friends. They worked a lot of movies together over the years. They even did Sherlock Holmes movies. There's even a mummy movie where Christopher Lee plays a mummy. And I'm hoping we'll eventually get to those as well to show you, kind of give you guys a variety. Okay, here it is. While I'm talking to you guys, I'm pulling up this clip. So I'm going to show this clip to you guys because I want to make my point. But yeah, I have a few backgrounds behind the scenes info. There's not a lot that I was able to dig up ahead of time to find. But this movie was originally called Dracula over in UK because obviously it's a Hammer. It's out of London, England, and they called it just straight up Dracula. And here in America at the time, the Bela Lugosi version was still showing at the theaters, and it was still relatively popular, and they didn't want confusion with that. So here on this side of the pond, they renamed it Horror of Dracula. So that explains the name. So if you go look it up, it's actually under both titles.
Which, once again, starting a frustrating series of name changes in horror movies coming over from England to America. It's really frustrating. That's a topic for a whole other video, though.
Right. It's not the only time. Definitely, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, and another thing too is this was made in the day where they're classically trained Shakespearean actors with a range and with skills that you would never have anymore now these days. In fact, I couldn't think of anybody even coming close. Even when I was a kid,
Oh, dude.
I looked forward to looking, but then they were. When I was a kid, it wasn't like, oh, there's those old men. I was like, I loved them, and I loved every movie they were in.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because once again, like you don't need to have a ton of action in a movie if the script is good and if the actors are good. Like, I don't need to have a whole lot of gore or blood or whatever. Like, I don't even need to have cleavage or sex. Like, it's appreciated when it's added tastefully, like it was in this movie when we have Miss Valerie Gaunt show up, aka.
Right.
Well, I can't. Once again, I can't even say her name because it gives away spoilers. So, but yeah, then we have like even the like Buddy's wife, Mina Homewell, who was played by it was Melissa Stribling. Fantastic, beautiful, really well done. Didn't have a she had a decent amount of lines, but once again, the facial acting, the acting in the eyes, fantastic. Like you said, these are all incredibly talented actors and actresses at the time, and it shows.
Yes, and I would definitely agree. And I like the fact that it was made in 58, but it looked, if you didn't know better, it looks like it came out of the 1800s. They even spoke like they did back then in the 1800s. Now, when they make
Oh my God,
where it takes place in the 1800s, they speak like they're coming out of modern day UCLA. So it seems like, see, that was one reason why I had trouble with when Jill and I were covering the Orville. Is we're talking about a show that's supposed to take place in the future, and they're in space, and all the women sound like they're right out of UCLA, like literally, like duh. I mean, seriously, that's how the women were talking in the Orville. I'm like, oh my
that's
God.
how they talk in the future, bro. Come on now.
Oh, right. Yeah, like literally. What am I thinking? Right.
Like, shut up.
Okay.
But no, oh my God, like the sets, dude, even in this film are incredible. Like, uh, I didn't know if I'm drawing a blank on the castle. I feel awful, but like even like there are so many shots here that like if you just took a still shot of this movie, you could like hang it up on a wall. Like it's beautiful. Like when Arthur opens up. Is it Arthur? Oh, who's the first dude who shows up? God damn it.
Jonathan?
It was Arthur, right? No, it was Jonathan. That's right. Like when Jonathan shows up and he opens up the crypt. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's Jonathan Harker in the book. I always get the names mixed up, but go ahead. It is Jonathan, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, no, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, dude, it's just incredible. Like just, I don't know. I felt weirdly at home. Like, I have a lot of, I don't know, Germanic and whatnot ancestry. So it's like, oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. I liked it. I really liked it.
Now you guys will see why this whole time I've been saying that the Hammer horror movies are like meat and potatoes of horror. When you see them, it's like something you've been missing. It's like, so this is what I haven't been seeing, because it's actually a very, very big thing. It's like missing a hole in your life. And once you guys experience and get used to, and we're not really used to, but start watching the Hammer horror movies, believe me, you're going to find them very satisfying. And they're going to be able to satisfy many things that the modern day horror cannot do or is incapable of doing. You're not going to have the clowns with the speeded up camera and the cheap CGI, the cheap jump scares when somebody bangs on the piano and the cat jumping in front of you, or the little girl who's got a connection to the monster, who's the secret to everything, or the girl who's going through traumatic trauma because her mom's dead or her dad's dead. Fill in the blank, whoever's dead, so they've got some kind of shitty trauma going on. All the tropes of modern day Blumhouse and all those kind of shitty movies, you won't find them here. The movies have class and they're well written. They respect their audiences. They know people are not stupid. So I know we haven't even got a one frame of the movie yet, but I just wanted to point that out. And there's something else I wanted to ask you guys about. I want to share this scene because I was watching this clip earlier today when they were talking about Snow White, like Gorilla was talking about, because I know that's his favorite movie. But I wanted to show you guys. I wanted your opinion about this here. All right. All right. You guys can see this, right?
Yeah.
This clip from Variety. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
I'm gonna show. Yeah. I'm
Is
sure
this
you guys
really
have seen
necessary
this
on the
before.
horror stream, Pop?
It is.
It's
It is
horror.
because I find it shockingly ugly and horrifying. Yes. So I'm gonna show you
Okay.
guys my point. Watch this. I have it muted. Hopefully, I won't get any copyright strikes. I want to try to get rid of that stupid play bar on the bottom if I can. But I want you to look at their chests. My point is, I know this isn't the Rumblings Lab, but I was watching this and I wanted to point out, look at their chests, their goddamn chests. I think they're wearing binders. Do you guys know what those are?
Yeah.
You mean like a corset?
Yeah, but they wear them across their chest because they don't want to show their breasts. I think they're both wearing
Okay.
binders. Especially, I want you to look at the lady that played Wonder Woman. Look at that. I mean, they're seriously built like men, both of them. Built like men, like a 14, 13-year-old boy. And then now I'm going to show you this. Because this is my point. All right. What is up with this? So what do you guys think? Did they stuff her for Wonder Woman? Or is she wearing a binder for that last video I showed you guys? Which one do you think it is? Because I remember when I saw her in Wonder Woman, I thought, that doesn't look right. That looks fake. And she's no Linda Carter.
Well, they could have stuffed their outfit in the Wonder Woman. She couldn't actually just be that small.
That's what I was wondering. Because, I mean, there's a big difference in that video clip I just showed you guys and these pictures. I don't know. It's just that I think, or it could be a combination of both. There's no way that they could both be that flat chested like in that video I showed you guys. That's why I'm thinking they're wearing binders. But since we're on the topic, I'm going to quickly cover this here. Let me change it. I'll show you what the real, in case for you young kids who don't realize who the real Wonder Woman was and what they looked like. Oops. I got my spelling wrong. I got carried away. Apologize. Bear with me.
Oh, bro, I know all kinds of Rule 34. I know what Wonder Woman looks like and what she's supposed to look like. It's just I don't really care what.
Those are real. Those are real. Those are not fake. She never wore binders, and she never had to wear falsies. She never had to stuff anything inside. That's why I never ever liked the casting of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I thought she was terrible. She wasn't as beautiful as what Wonder Woman is supposed to be. Wonder Woman is supposed to be like a goddess of beauty. And Gal Gadot was like a middling, fairly average. Well, anyway, I don't want to insult too many people or upset anybody, but yeah, I'll get back on our horror stream. Sorry about that, guys. I could go off all night about what I thought about Wonder Woman. Needless to say, I didn't like the casting and I didn't like the movies. But anyway, here we go. Let me get my video queued up. You guys have anything you want to add before we get started? Enough about Wonder Woman.
No, I'm good. Let's get started on the film, dude.
Okay, and away we go.
And we're all caught up with the chat.
Perfect.
And of course, this being 1958, straight into the action. Very little credits at the beginning of the movie. Of course, we don't waste a lot of time, which I like.
Right? We have some really nice scenery shots of the outside of the castle. And I just it's funny because I'm like, I guess I'm like, must have been really stoned or something because I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah. It wasn't until we get the shot of Dracula. I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally Dracula's castle. And then once again with the topic of the Hammer horror with the blood splattering on it, it's just velvet red, and you're just like, whoa.
Yes, I love it. And just about a month or so ago, I saw where that stone bird right there sold at auction. Somebody bought that. I wish I would have been able to afford it. But yeah,
No, I don't.
the props and everything are actually valuable, just like modern day movies. Olga Dickey. Ha
Oh,
ha
dude, the
ha.
amount of props in this movie are just insane, and like some of them are so nice. Like once you get to the interior of Dracula's castle, you're just like, holy shit! Like
Exactly.
I could just imagine what some of those just the hallway with the twisted oak. I don't even know what kind of wood it was, but the twisting pillars. You're just like, oh my god! I can only imagine how much that cost. Like even that right
Yeah, you can
there,
tell it's all
like
handmade.
beautiful.
And it's
Yeah,
directed by the great Terence Fisher. You guys will see that Terence Fisher worked on a lot of Hammer movies. And a very excellent, competent director. And there we go. It goes right to Dracula's lair. I love it. Down below. Let's see if I can cover this here. Very gothic. I love it.
cool. Yeah,
There we go. Splashed right on there.
right. And is it supposed to be a cross? No. Okay.
I think
It's
it was
just
just red.
dripping blood on it. Yeah.
And this, if anybody knows the novel Dracula, it begins with Jonathan Harker taking the trip to the castle, and he's writing to Mia or Mina. So it is based, and like I was mentioning in stream last week, this is not based directly on the book, but it's based on a play that was based on the book. So it's generally based on the book, and I can tell you guys some of the differences because I've read the book.
Interesting. Interesting. See, and it's
And here
funny,
we
I
have
haven't read the
Jonathan on the
book.
play. Yeah, I
And look at that.
believe it or not, when I was young, I had one of the original copies from 1897, one of the original printings, but it was in very
Holy
bad shape.
shit.
Yeah, some idiot somewhere along the many years, wrote all over it. There was writing, somebody wrote on every single page, and it was gibberish. So I always thought, I don't know if whoever had the book was crazy or what, but yeah, they had a pen, and they wrote on every single page with gibberish. And that was the copy I had for a while, and I tried to hold on to it, but I lost it. When there be all Castle Dracula, Jonathan Harker arrives. Excellent matte paintings.
What year was it supposed to be set in? Because they had a little bit of electricity, and that the cannon there looks relatively like 1800s.
Where'd you see the electricity at?
I
It's
thought I
here
seen a
when you see
chandelier.
it.
I thought I seen a chandelier in a scene that's coming up here soon.
Oh, that would have been lit with candles.
Well,
That's what I was going to say. I think it was gas and candles back then.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of candles in the Hammer movies. Candelabras, big, extravagant. Even like Nemesis was talking, the scenery here, the sets, even the candelabras, like were these big fancy things. They look like they weighed 100 pounds.
oh, more than that, they're iron.
I think they were supposed to be brass, or were brass. I don't know which one. I love that set. Very iconic. And we will see another Hammer movies redressed. I know it's in the Gorgon. Can't wait to cover that one. The one that's about Medusa.
Cool.
Oh, don't do this to me. Come on. There we go. As the camera pans around, it gives us a great look at the whole castle. And Jonathan Harker's there, and he sees there's a note left for him. Basically, Dracula welcoming him, saying, welcome. I'll be around much later, of course, after dark. Dracula, for some reason, never comes out during the daytime.
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
And knowing what we know, yeah, would you guys eat any food in Dracula's castle? I don't think I would. I wonder who cooked it.
Considering who, like, he's going there as an employee, so it's like, sure, why not?
Well, yeah, and he doesn't know about what's going on yet. He doesn't know the whole truth. So, of course, he's going to, at this point, trust the food. But in the book, believe it or not, I mean, obviously, the castle isn't exactly populated with a bunch of people, and Dracula does not have servants. So in the book, Dracula actually does the cooking. Dracula is the one that drives the horse and carriage. Dracula does the cooking. Dracula does all the chores. It's all off screen, but it is Dracula. We will see in this movie, they'll show that he drives the carriage, but they're not going to show him in the kitchen slaving over a hot stove, obviously. Look at that. There's our hammer. Our first
Hell yeah. Oh,
This is
Miss Valerie Gaunt.
Right. This is what made me bring up the woman earlier. Is that they won't show women like this anymore to show off their beauty. Now they want to hide it. It's ridiculous. But they'll show naked men like Thor's butt. It's like, fuck them. And of course, they hear a noise, and we get our entrance.
So what we missed in that interaction there, though, was she was begging for help.
Yes.
She was asking him to help. Oh, go ahead, Pop.
No, I was just going to say, I don't want to give it away. But yeah, she is begging for help, but I'm not sure whether you should believe her or not. I guess I'll try not to give away too many spoilers. And now, of course, Jonathan is like, what is this? He's just more like taken aback. Like, I don't know what's going on, lady. What are you talking about?
Right? He seems very bemused at the situation.
Right.
Because, like, yeah, she just run.
Go ahead.
No, exactly. That's the whole thing. She just runs up, doesn't go into detail. She's just like, he's holding me here. I need you to help me. Please say you'll help me. And he's like, what? Who are you? Like,
And of course, it did help that Christopher Lee was like 6'7", so it makes him very dominating. And he is quite handsome. Almost.
yes, back in the day, he certainly was. Yeah, but that was hot back in the day.
Yes, very mature, I guess. But he was obviously at the time not very old, so they had to frost his hair and everything to make him look older than he actually was. Like I told you guys in the last stream that he was, in real life, he was friends with J.R. Tolkien, who did Lord of the Rings, and he was also friends with Ian Fleming, who did James Bond. In fact, James Bond, when he wrote Ian Fleming, when he wrote the James Bond books, he had Christopher Lee in mind, and he wanted Christopher Lee to play James Bond, and Christopher Lee turned it down, and that's how we ended up getting
Sean Connery.
Yes.
Well, and it's Christopher Lee was also ex-Special Forces too.
He was that interview I was mentioning, guys. He was talking about there was a time where he was making a movie, and the director told him, "I want you to imagine that you're hearing a man stabbed in the back." And Christopher Lee responded, "I don't have to imagine. I've heard it before." Of course, from being a special agent, right? He had been it through and seen everything.
Yeah, well, even with J.R.R. Tolkien, not Peter Jackson, because he was just like, oh, as Saruman, he's like, I want you to scream when you get stabbed in the back, and he's like, people don't scream when they get stabbed in the back. It's just they're shocked. It's a huge intake of air, and Peter Jackson was just like, how do you know that? And he's just like,
right.
Go ahead, Paul.
Because obviously the knife is piercing your lungs. That's why when they show people in these movies when they get stabbed or impaled and they go on talking, I'm like, oh my God, come on. Because your lungs are like balloons. And when a knife goes through them, they pop. They don't you can't just keep on just talking along. It doesn't work like that.
Right? It's filling with blood, it's deflating, like it's a big deal.
Yes, yeah, it's a big deal, unfortunately. Like they don't make it look. What is that? That shitty last Star Wars series, I can't remember. Ahsoka?
Ahsoka.
Where it showed right, the bitch gets impaled with a lightsaber and she just goes right on blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh my God, that's bad.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty. See, and like that's because it's funny because like you were talking about the violence, which we're going to get to later on in this film, which we should probably proceed with. It's brutal, and it's just like, holy shit, right? Like it's. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the scene when we get to it. But like, oh man, you know what I'm talking about, Pop. You know what I'm talking about.
Right. It's not
We'll
like
get there.
no, it's not right. It's not going to be over the top, like arms and legs getting ripped off or anything. But when we talk about the scale of the violence in here, it's really good for 1958. It's very daring. And then I'm going to mention when these movies were released at the theaters here, they were rated X originally, and they had the big red bloody hammer red X on the posters. I need to find some of the original posters, and that really definitely lured audiences in. And this is when most people were watching movies at the drive-in. So when I don't know, I grew up going to the drive-in and seeing the 60s and 70s Hammer horror, and it's an experience that it can't be duplicated. It's just not the same seeing a movie at a walk-in theater. I know people say, "Well, I like the theater because I get to sit around all the people with, and I watch everybody react." And it's like, nah, I'd rather be sitting in my car drinking or getting high with friends than I would sitting around an audience with kids crying and people on their cell phone and of somebody's fat head in your way or any kind of crap like that. So here's where he's showing Jonathan Harker to his quarters. And here's where he's telling him that he'll be out for a while because as we see, it's still kind of daylight, but the sun's down. I think it's kind of like sunset. But Dracula's telling him he's going to be gone for a while, so that he'll basically be there the most of the night of his own. And Jonathan is under the premise that he's there to sort through the Count's library because supposedly the Count has a vast collection of books. Now remember, but this reminds me, I watched an excellent, a brand new vampire movie just a couple days ago. I highly recommend. I'm going to bring it up on our stream here later. It's a Spanish horror movie, but it talks about how Dracula lives through all these centuries. So he's got books that are vast. They go way, way back that nobody else has because he's been around so long. And he has all the original editions. So they don't mention all that in this movie, but that's essentially what Dracula does is he hires Jonathan here to go through his library and sort it out. And as we know in the original, I have to remind or mention that people are confused. In the original Nosferatu, the reason why he was there to visit Dracula was to sell him a piece of property in his hometown. And here he is settling in, and he's got a picture of his love, Mina. No, I think I got the name. In the book, Mina was his fiancée, but I think Mina's a different character in this movie. I have to look
Hey,
it
and
up.
welcome Scurvy, and he says, "Hey, bloodsuckers."
Hey, Lemon Pie, good to see you there. Hope you're doing good. I'm sorry to get off
Hey,
track so much.
Lemon.
Yeah, I'm sorry to get off track so much, you guys. I promise I'll stay on with the movie. And as we all know, that one thing that's become the common trope with vampire movies. Oh, that's right. We did cover Fright Night, so this is not just the second vampire movie; it's our third. But a common
That's right.
trope, a common trope is that Dracula always falls in love with some woman who reminds him of somebody from his past.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure her name was Lucy in this one.
Yes, that's true. Thank you. And Mina was the sister, I think.
Yeah. Mina was Arthur's wife.
Yeah. Yes, but in
Right?
the book, Mina was Jonathan's fiance, and he was writing to her in the book.
Okay, and in this one, Lucy is the fiance.
Yes, in the first chapter of Dracula, the first chapter is called Jonathan Harker's Diary. Now we'll notice too when Dracula looks at the picture, he does look at it for a few seconds and says, "Yes, she's quite beautiful," but he doesn't obsessively. Stare at it like Dracula did in Nosferatu. So they kind of downplay that a little bit.
Well, then he even asked her name, and he's like, well, what's her name? And she's like, oh, it's Lucy Holmwood. And he's like, oh, charming. How charming. Like, he almost seemed put off like by how, like, almost like it was like a commoner's name to me.
Right, and I think he doesn't want to give away too much.
That is true too.
Right, he's still putting off this act like he's just some count that lives by himself. There's a recluse, but of course, as we see, the act doesn't last very long. And this is where Jonathan Harker hears the door lock. It's like, well, what the hell is this? You didn't say where the bathroom was? No, I'm just kidding. This is when
Well,
they
I've
didn't have
seen it.
bathrooms. They had chamber pots.
Dude, that's funny. That was the exact thing I thought too. I was just like, it's like, bro, I gotta use the bathroom. And I'm like, oh yeah, chamber pots were a thing back then.
Right, there's
Well,
the
that's,
chamber pot, and there's the window, right?
That'd be a modern movie. There's someone complaining about not being able to go to the bathroom. That'd be a modern movie type thing. You don't need that.
This is true.
And you guys know they had bed warmers that were a container on a stick that you would put coal inside, right? And then stick it between the mattress and
Yeah.
the box spring.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was back then.
Yeah, did those get like real hot, or how did they not catch things on fire?
They got hot, but not bad. That's why you put coals and not flames. But I can imagine those castles probably got very, very cold without having built-in AC and air conditioning, or central heating and air. And as you can see so far, it looks like those the chandeliers are candle.
Yeah, I thought I
he's
seen
writing-
one with like crystal in it and everything.
Oh well, let me know if you spot it.
And Scurvy here says, "Blah, I want to suck your blood."
I do not say blah, blah, blah. I do not know where people get this from.
That's another
No,
thing too. Is everybody
Well-
when they think of the voice of Dracula, they think of Bela Lugosi because he had a heavy Hungarian accent.
Well, it's also set in Romania, so everybody wants to have that Eastern European accent.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
there's an Eastern European accent, but then there's a difference between that and then the thick Hungarian accent that Bela Lugosi had. Bela Lugosi, his accent was so thick, he couldn't hide it. Like actors now, like for example, Tom Holland that plays Spider-Man, he's British, but he plays with an American accent. And the guy that plays Thor, Hemsworth, whatever, he's Australian, but he hides it for the American accent when he plays Thor, for example. But Bela Lugosi, he couldn't hide it. He had that thick Hungarian accent, which actually hurt his career. And that's the reason why he never went on to his biggest fame as like Boris Karloff and all the others, is because he was very limited with his roles. So after he played Dracula, he was limited to unfortunately, low budget horror movies and comedies with Abbott and Costello and drugs. Which is a different story. And he hears somebody trying the knob on his bedroom door.
And Scurvy says, you put a coal in your bed, you burn your ass, and you didn't complain.
That's right. No complaint. Well, just like using the chamber pot, it's like nobody complained about that. They got so used to it. The worst part, can you imagine if you're a slave with royalty and you're having to empty like the king or queen's chamber pot? It's like, that's got to be nasty.
Well, heck, what was it, Louis XIV? He had just a big old hole in his throne there, and it dropped into a pit underneath the throne room that someone had to clean out. That's how.
Oh, that was a highly coveted job.
A lot of castles.
Oh, dude.
A lot of castles did that in the public area, but in their bedrooms they had chamber pots.
Yeah.
But when they had public areas, like when they had people there for dinner, they had those public, right? They were basically like a public outhouse, where it was like a row of like just 8 holes. And then, but then they still, even then with the smell, they still had servants come in and scrape and clean, and I wouldn't want to be one of them. Which words though? That or flipping burgers? There's castles. I think those are candles. Yeah, flickering.
Yeah, those are. It was up on the ceiling. I think something with crystal. I swear I saw something with crystal.
Wait,
You were smoking something with Crystal.
It was
you
way
said crystal-
deeper in the movie.
When you say crystal, do you mean like the glass, or do you mean like a crystal-shaped bulb, or what do you mean?
Like the old crystal chandeliers.
That's what I'm saying. You can have chandeliers, but they were still had candles in them.
Yeah. So it was way
But we'll
deeper in
watch
the movie.
for it. Right, we'll watch for it. And here she is back saying, rescue me, help me. And I do like with the makeup how they make her look pale. Because if you notice, her skin's wider than his. And she talks about the count holding her against her will. Obviously, what she's doing, it makes sense too, because if you want to manipulate a man, this is the quickest way to his heart is to act like a damsel in distress, hoping to uh, rely on his chivalry.
I mean, I'd fall for it.
So would I, especially when I saw her look like that.
Oh, dude, right? It's
right, and he doesn't tell her, "You'll be all right. Don't worry." Of course, he's not quite taking it all seriously. He's probably thinking she's half nuts, but he's telling her it's okay. And obviously, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with Dracula. And now we get the reveal.
No, what he is thinking is
it's a trap.
Oh,
yeah, man.
It didn't even play right. Dang it. It's a trap. He's thinking it's a trap.
Well, he hasn't gotten that far yet. This is the scene where he's going to realize everything that's going on.
Well, this is the scene that alludes the audience that it's a trap and that she's been turned into a vampiress.
Right. And this is where we find out that she was lying the whole time. She's not really being held captive by Dracula. In a way, she is under Dracula's spell, and she can never leave. But the only reason why she's been telling Jonathan Harker this the whole time is to just get him basically under her power. And we get the reveal.
And the infamous shot of Christopher Lee.
And by the way, he couldn't see anything through those contact lenses. And he's pissed.
Basically,
all right, so yes.
So basically, she was no longer controlled by him. She was able to bite him while she's under his roof.
Wait, she was able to bite who? Jonathan, or do you mean Dracula?
Dracula.
She didn't bite Dracula.
No, like when she bit Jonathan.
She almost did. She almost did. Oh no, did she?
She did.
I don't. That's right. I think she barely started. Right. I think she did pierce the skin, but obviously
she did enough to.
Go ahead.
Well, exactly, because I don't know if Dracula wanted Jonathan to actually be a vampire, but she went in for the fresh blood anyways. And whether it's a little bit of a wound or a deep enough wound, he's turned. He's infected now. He's got vampirism. And, like, Dracula's pissed. Like, to the point where, like, it cuts off screen once after this point. He throws her down, and then, like, Jonathan tries to help him out, and he, like, chokes him out, which we get to see in a second here.
Right. So, and they do establish immediately that Dracula does have that super strength. And I want to point something they're not able to show here, and something that they're not able to show in most of the Dracula movies, but was in the book, is Dracula has more than one woman, and he keeps them down below, and he keeps them to feed on or feed off of. But the reason why the women are starving essentially is because they don't leave the castle and go out and hunt like Dracula does. So, like birds, you guys know how the mother bird brings back food for the babies. So in the original book, when Jonathan Harker is poking through the castle trying to figure out what's going on, when he finds this layer of women down below, what Dracula does is Dracula returns from the village and he has a sack with a baby crying in it, an infant. So Dracula goes to the village and he steals and kidnaps infants right out of their cribs, puts them in like a burlap sack, takes them back to the castle and feeds them to these women. So that's a little harsh, obviously, for audiences. So That's why you don't see it in the movies very often. I don't even know if I've ever seen that in a vampire movie. But
Oh, we
that's
can't see
basically.
the equivalent of human veal? That's terrible.
I'm trying to think, but there's a version of Dracula with Frank Langella, which is closest to closest to the book. And that may be it'll show a shadow. I think maybe if I remember right, where you see Dracula hold up a shadow of a bag, and you can see it squirming, and you hear a baby crying. And another thing that Dracula does in the book that he does not do in the movies, and that's because the effect is not easy to achieve. But he climbs the exterior walls of the castle, both upside and down. So they'll show him climbing down the side of the castle like a lizard. And that's described in the book, but it's very rare you see it in the vampire movies. Too bad, because it would look really cool. Hello, PvP.
Hi.
Hey, PvP.
Hi, Pop.
How's
Hi,
it
guys.
going?
Hey, Gorilla.
Maybe we.
No, not too bad. Not too bad.
Right. So now we got to the point where obviously Dracula knows that, hey, the gig's up. Jonathan knows that he's not just here to sort through Dracula's books. Obviously, Dracula doesn't care anymore, so look at him. So this is what he does because he is so pissed. He wants to go after that woman. I love that look. Total anger.
Yeah, Christopher Lee's pretty awesome in some of these scenes for sure. Quite impressive.
Right, and yes, and there you can see the blood on his neck. So yes, he was bitten by the woman. Now notice Dracula carries her away. See, now what he's doing actually, he's taking her. There's two things that he does in the books. He either takes her back down to the below the castle where the other women are, or sometimes when he gets so mad at them, he'll suck their blood to where he drains them until they're absolutely dead. Because there's like levels of when you get bit. Like even in the, I think it does happen here, where when he's feeding off of some people, he doesn't bite them enough to turn them into a vampire the first time. He'll take just a little bit to feed off of, and just a little bit, and just a little bit each time. But the person's not a vampire. He's got to be able to do a little bit more in order to change him into a vampire. Supposedly, that's what he does with his familiar. Here we have the next day.
I just want to say I'm really glad that you guys are so early into the stream here, because I was expecting you might be halfway done by now.
I know,
Because it's
and
a short movie, right? So
yeah, normally we would be halfway done, but unfortunately, I went off on a tangent before we started about women's breasts. So I apologize for that.
Oh, I tell you,
So-
you just made my day there, Pop.
Hey, Scurvy says hi to you, PvP, and
Hey,
you want to read
hey,
this
Lemon.
one?
Blessed vampire picker. Oh, thank you. So, when you went off on a tangent about women's breasts, I want to hear more about that.
Well,
You can go back and watch it.
I'll have to do the rewatch. Okay,
Right.
that
It's
sounds
a Hammer horror
entertaining. Though.
movie I couldn't resist. That's
Oh.
what, I mean, like the bright red blood.
Right.
That's one thing that goes with Hammer horror.
Yeah, well, the vampirus at the start here. Yeah, I could understand why you went off on that tangent. Actually,
So here's where Jonathan realizes that he's been sleeping all day because you can tell it's late in the afternoon. So I guess after, oh, by the way, yeah, let me show this. He does feel his neck and he realizes that he's been bitten. He knows, by the way, he does know what a vampire is because takes place back in the day where everybody pretty much thinks that they're real. Some people think they're not, but everybody's aware of what they are. So we don't have to waste time in the scene saying, it's a vampire. What's a vampire? Well, a vampire goes back to blah, blah, blah. They don't waste any of their time with that shit. Everybody assumes that
They
know
do,
what a
though.
vampire is. Well, they do very briefly.
Later
Van
on.
Helsing does.
Yes,
But-
and that's the explanation. But as you're right, they don't need to go on and be like, oh, blah blah blah. He's like, well, and this is the big reveal too. Here is that his whole mission to come to this castle was to kill Dracula.
well, that's
Yes.
right, because he mentions it in an earlier scene, right? That pretending to want to go through the library was just a ruse to get him into the castle, and his real mission is to stake Dracula and end the horror, right? So
Yeah.
So he kind of failed on that level. I mean, he kind of
I
gave
mean,
his hand away with the
Yeah,
Vampirella,
but
right? You know.
I could be wrong, but I thought, am I wrong? I thought the way the lore works is, let's say if you're Jonathan Harker and you're there to destroy Dracula or kill him. I thought once you kill him, then it cures you. I mean, isn't that what happens?
I thought that was like it would either cure or kill you, or it would break the spell, right? Like I was under the assumption that like if you kill
Right? I thought
the head vampire, it kills or releases the spell of the other vampires at the very least, or at the very least it just kills like
that's
there actually
yeah.
is there
that's
actually
what I
is a
thought.
scene.
I thought it releases them.
There's a scene late in the
Go
movie that I
ahead.
think might actually relate to that point, Nemesis. But it's
Okay,
very
good.
late in the film, and I don't want to spoil it.
As you can see, he doesn't look very happy.
He doesn't look very good either with that bite.
That could be his bag right there of hammers and stakes.
Well, he has there is because he does have a bag of hammer and stakes that he pulls out. So yeah, I think that's what that is. And like I think he's upset because now he only has till sundown before he turns into a vampire and he's under Dracula's control. Whereas he was planning on having, maybe a few days to poke around, maybe formulate a plan, figure things out. But no, he got like nailed immediately by the chick. And he was like, oh, fuck. Okay, well,
Exactly.
plan B, here we go.
That's one thing I wondered about that,
Right,
Nemesis. Why did he allow her to get so close to his neck when he should have suspected that she might have been turned previously, right, by Dracula?
Well, because you got to remember, she has vampire powers, which means she can hypnotize people just like
I
Dracula
suppose.
can. So when you're under
Well,
that spell, you're not really thinking correctly.
Exactly. Right? Because there's plenty of points later on in the film where we get with Christopher Lee, and they talk about with Van Helsing, were about how he has those powers. And it's not really a form of hypnosis, but it kind of is. And like most people are able to like they try to fight off a vampiric spell, they can't. They just can't. So
Right. I mean, because we've seen plenty of times where they know it's a vampire, they know who he is, but they cannot resist him. They're like frozen.
Right? Yo, totally. And like, well, even here where like, I don't know, I'm thinking back to my Warhammer game because I played vampire counts, and like there was a sect of the female vampires, and their whole thing was like beguile, seduction. Like that's what they're doing. She's playing up the sex sells aspect, like you were saying, with showing off the body, showing off the skin, the cleavage. She's a beautiful woman. She's playing to his heart. Like she's doing all of these different things, all these different levels of manipulation to get into it. Like she's a predator. This is prey. This is what she does. Like
yes.
Yeah, well, when she went
But
on,
here's his fatal mistake.
please rescue me from because he keeps me locked up in the castle. I mean, I automatically knew that was just a ploy, to put him off guard, right? And get his sympathies, so to speak.
Wait, I got a question. It's kind of established lore. Like even I knew that if you kill the head vampire, it's supposed to like cure all the other vampires there. So why didn't he go after Dracula?
Well, break the spell, right?
oh, dude, I know. This is like you had one job and you fucked this up. This is my one point of contention with the film, and I understand why they do it, but still.
Yeah, this is the one scene. I agree. It really bugged
Go ahead,
me.
Pop. Sorry, PvP.
That's what I was going to say. Is this is where he fucks up? And if somebody would say, "Well, what's the logic behind it?" I'd have to guess is sympathy for her to release her soul. But yeah,
that's the only thing.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if he wanted to complete the mission, he should have staked Dracula first, because Dracula's obviously far, far more powerful, than she is, and he should have known that when he stakes her and she screams, Dracula's gonna, hear that and be, arise, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
But I mean, who's? Sorry, PvP.
The film had to happen though, right? Because you didn't want to kill Dracula in the first 20 minutes.
Well, exactly. And like not only that, but like I wasn't expecting her to scream bloody murder when he stakes her. It takes 3 hits with that fucking hammer to silence her. Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
I've seen enough of these old vampire movies over the years, though, where quite often they do scream when they're getting staked. So I wasn't
Yeah, but you
surprised.
gotta take it from his point of view. Like he's not a vampire hunter. As far as I can tell, he's no Van Helsing. Like
Definitely not. Definitely not Van Helsing.
well, I mean, but he was working with Van Helsing though, so I don't actually know. Then again, Pops, do you know like how what his level was with Van Helsing? Was he a vampire hunter, or was he just like?
I'm sorry. It was. Wait, say it again. Ask the question.
So in the movie where it establishes that Jonathan and Van Helsing were working together,
Uh-huh.
is it like that in the book?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Welcome.
The two know each other, but they're not in cahoots to kill Dracula.
Okay, because I don't know if like
Sorry,
Jonathan Frakes is like a serious vampire hunter, or I'm just trying to figure out his level of.
Yes, Jonathan Frakes is a serious vampire hunter.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd like to see that movie.
Yeah.
Oh
Welcome
yeah!
to
Oh my god!
Podcast.
Yeah, dude, totally. Fuck yeah, Jonathan Frakes. Yes,
That would
yes.
be a classic.
Welcome to
Or he would try and seduce the vampires. Let's face it, guys. Come on, it is Jonathan Frakes.
You do the Riker maneuver.
Just straight up.
All right, guys.
Oh, man.
Guys, can I get me? Welcome, Jim's Landscaping LLC. There, welcome.
Hello, Jim. Good to see you.
Jim.
Hope you're doing well. Sir.
Yeah, and he has a Starter Master video, which is pretty funny. And he says, "Hi, Pop Gorilla, PvP, and Eden." All right, now you guys.
Hey.
So here's what I wonder. What do you guys think wakes up Dracula? Is it A, the sound of her screaming, or B, the connection being broken?
Both.
Could be both, I'd say.
That's what I think too, because I think that he can feel when his vampires have been killed or destroyed because he has control over them. So
Yeah, well,
I
in a
think that could
sense,
be it.
I almost wondered if, like, he got the, like, maybe not a total physical sensation, but a quasi-physical sensation of the stake being driven into her chest at that point. I'm just guessing, but, you know.
That's a good, very well could be. Like, once again, like, this is the first movie in this series, so they don't really establish how strong the connection is with his thralls and, like, all that stuff. Because they do find the point, like, well, we'll get to that point later on, where, like, as you said, Pop, they know that it's not just a superstition. That's why they hang garlic. That's why they hang. I think it's only just garlic, actually, now that I think about it. But I don't know. It could very well could be PvP.
And oh, by
Yeah,
the way,
just,
as these movies
crossed my mind.
progress, we're going to see they're going to start adding to the vampire lore things that were not previously there before. And I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there's going to be a few things coming up in the sequels that add to the lore that now people think that was always part of the lore.
I'm just
And of
wondering
course,
about that scene with the
she
stake in
turned
her
into a
chest.
hag because she. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, the way the stake is, mounted, on her chest, it looks quite convincing that it's been driven into her body. But I'm thinking, well, you've obviously got an older actress there, playing the corpse. But I mean, I'm just wondering, did they somehow glue that on there, or was that perhaps some kind of fake body, and she was like, sort of
The
hidden
head
in a
sticking up to the
compartment
bottom.
underneath, or
Well, yeah, that's an old tactic that they've used for many years, where it's a fake body with a head sticking up. But that would be a little elaborate. I'm guessing it was just a chest appliance.
okay, I was just not sure.
But obviously,
Now,
the reason
Pop, why do you think she turned into a hag?
because that's her age. When they
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Right,
yeah, I get it. That's because especially, yeah.
Time catches up to them pretty much when they die.
Yeah, I was guessing like Dracula probably turned her like maybe 60 years previously, Nemesis kind of thing.
Okay.
Like
No,
80
when he
something.
bites when he bites them, they don't age after that until this happens, and then the age.
That's what I
catches up
mean.
with them.
She looked young because she was a vampire, but as soon as the vampire curse was lifted, she reverted to her true self, her true age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Oh man.
It's like I screwed up at this point, right? Because you notice that when Dracula awoke, he looked over at the window and he saw that the sun was setting, and he was like, "Oh, perfect." So basically, but he's not there. Notice he didn't immediately attack Jonathan, and then now the door is open, and we get a shadow. That can't be very encouraging.
Yep. He thinks he probably knows he's done for at this point.
Not much you can do.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Scurvy
No,
says
not with his
Jim.
strength and speed.
Yeah, and Scurvy says
ahead.
Jim's Vampire Escape LLC. Blah.
Meanwhile, back at the tavern with Garlic. Oh my God, this scene was so many movies. We talked about this the last time. I mean, American Werewolf in London. So many scenes where you've got to have that tavern where the whole town, everybody in the town knows what's going on, but nobody wants to talk about it. And then the outsider comes in and they won't tell the outsider what's going on. Invisible Man. I mean, so many movies. But you covered The Invisible Man, right, Gorilla?
We watched it there. The original one, the black and white one.
Right. And remember they had the tavern?
Yeah.
Of course, they also in the original Dracula and Frankenstein. There's where Van Helsing enters the room, of course, and he's asking about his good friend Jonathan Harker. And nobody knows anything, of course. Not until the fair maiden steps forward.
Yeah, then he's pretty much, shut up, woman.
Right? That is, her name is Inga.
Has anybody ever been to a Renaissance fair before?
Yes.
No.
Not me.
I have. And what was good is that you're allowed to call the women wenches. Were you allowed to do that? Were you allowed to do that, Gorilla? You remember?
I was with the wife and the mother-in-law, so I didn't even dare.
Well, you can always say to them, they're wenches, but not you. You guys are, you.
Yeah.
All
That extra ass kissing for what? Just to call someone a wench?
Yeah, I know exactly.
No, you call them all wenches. That's why it's fair.
And you tell them it's considered flattering. Yes.
I gotta
So of
wonder
course,
though.
the daughter.
I was just going to quickly say, if
Go
Gorilla
ahead.
called his mother-in-law a wench, I don't know if he'd be with us tonight.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's not the mother-in-law I had to worry about because we could have just left her ass there. It's the one I had to go home with I was worried about.
Uh-oh.
Well, then you could have just left her ass there too with the mother-in-law. Like it all depends. Like, come on now, bro.
And of course, the daughter of the innkeeper lets slip the news that yes, he was here. There was a Jonathan Harker, which sets off the suspicions of Van Helsing.
And I had to laugh at this scene too because she's like, she's talking really loud for like a really tiny bar, right? She's like, he told me to burn this, but I didn't. And I'm just like, he seemed like such a nice guy, and I'm just like, fuck, man, can you say it a little quieter? Like, oh shit.
A little more subtle now. Can you whisper? Do you know what that means?
Right?
And here's
Oh,
where
I
he
was
decides to
laughing.
visit Castle Dracula.
Oh,
Go
wait,
ahead.
that's the scene I was thinking of. That's the scene I was thinking of.
Now that is Dracula's coach. You could tell.
It was awesome. we didn't really get to see it, but like there's a beautiful white coffin, and then it had the black velvet curtains that would come down. I mean, they were showing off the coffin just to show that it was Dracula's coffin for later on in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Right,
totally.
and he's heading out. He's heading out because he knows the heat's on, and he knows that that since Jonathan Harker knew he was there, that's where he's going to hide, and he's got other plans.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. Back then, would they even show the coffin like that in the back of a coach like that, or
It probably would have been. It probably would have been enclosed. It probably would have been enclosed. Those side panels were probably curtains. So they probably would have lowered the where the tassels were.
Yeah.
Here, Jim says no to scurvy. Then scurvy says grills random clots.
And of course, here we go. He discovers Jonathan's room, and it looks like it's been slept in, but it looks like it's also been ransacked, which is why Jonathan was hiding the diary. And of course, the pictures are missing of Lucy.
Yeah.
And here he discovers the old man or the old woman, and bum bum bum, his old friend Jonathan. For
Right,
shame.
Who is now a vampire, but he's just sleeping because it's daytime. So Van Helsing needs to put an end to that.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to say, Peter Cushing to me kind of steals this movie. Like, I guess he does get first billing in the credits if I remember correctly. And I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yes.
Christopher Reeve is great as Dracula, but Cushing is really the guy
Christopher
that.
Reeve as Dracula.
Well, Peter Cushing holds the film together, though. Really, I mean, because he's in way more scenes, right? So
Absolutely. Well, it's true. He gets more line. He gets more scenes.
yeah, he's really the center of the film, really.
Now, for you young guys, Michael Gough, the guy on the left, you guys recognize him from anything?
Oh yeah, I recognized him instantly.
Of course, he did a lot of Hammer movies, but I'm not talking about those. He basically.
I remember him as Alfred in the Batman movies.
Yes, he was Batman in the Tim Burton Batman movies. I remember then thinking that was great. It was like, because I already knew who he was at that point, and I thought it was nice that he played Alfred. And to this day, he's still my favorite Alfred. I'm not happy with the new ones.
I really liked the new Alfred from Gotham because he's the sergeant from Dog Soldiers.
Gotham. Are you talking about the town?
TV series.
Yeah, the TV series. Oh. It's before Batman was an adult, so it's a young Commissioner Gordon and whatnot. It's really good.
Yeah, Alfred is great in that series, Nemesis. Like he's a real kick-ass kind of guy.
You guys watched it. Wait a minute, isn't that I'm dropping my candy. Isn't that a CW show?
I think it was Fox, wasn't it?
I don't think it was CW.
I think it might have been Fox.
I saw it on Netflix.
Nothing could be as bad as CW.
I saw it on the network. I'll just look it
like
up.
There was plenty of blood. It was pretty brutal. Like it was a great show. I liked it.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
I know, but I don't understand I don't understand the point. They made a show called Metropolis with no Superman. They made a Smallville with no Superman. Now you got a Gotham with no Batman. What is the point?
Well, the point is they look at him when he was young and when he was, growing up, and when he was, before he was like an adult, before he was Batman, but he was developing his personality and developing his skills. And I think wasn't Alfred trying to train him in some ways, I believe, if I remember. I haven't seen the show in quite a few years now, but
yeah, we'll have to talk about that on Rumblings from the Lab.
Yeah, let's not get sidetracked too bad. Yeah,
thank you.
Yes.
It was on the Fox network, by the way, originally.
Okay.
Okay.
Got that cleared up.
Yep.
So here we have Arthur and God damn it, what's her name? Mina. So this is Mina.
You know.
So this is Mina, right?
Yeah. Played by Melissa Stripling, who's
Also
apparently
very
Scottish, which I couldn't tell from her acting. She seems, once again, very Americanized. Or at least I didn't get Scottish out of it.
No, I would never have guessed she was Scottish.
Okay, what's my computer doing?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Mine just shut down on its own.
I'm checking on it.
there.
Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh.
No, what's going on?
They've come for us.
My browser. I usually go back and forth between my browser and the video player, and my browser does not want to hide. For some reason, it's acting funkified. It's my mouse. Bear with me, guys.
Oh, we're bearing with you. So yeah, it's very interesting up until this point of the film, because like they're not at this point. Peter Cushing, who is playing Dr. Van Helsing, isn't telling Arthur or Mina what's going on. Like, he hasn't really told them. Like, he's like, okay, well, I mean, Jonathan's dead, and they're like, okay, how'd he die? And he's like, well, I can't tell you. I'm like, okay, well, where'd he die? And he's like, well, I can't tell you. And they're like, well, and he's like, well, you have the death certificate, don't you? And they're like, yeah, and it's been signed by you. And he's like, yep.
You know, I drop out for a minute, and I think that fixed the problem. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
No worries, Pop.
Okay, let me share this again. Everything was fine until I opened up my box of candy. Okay. I don't know why we're not catching a lot of the dialogue until I push video play. By the way, PvP, have you ever seen the movie Michael Gough, where his wife and daughter conspire to kill him? Which they do, and they put him in a crate and push him off into a lake.
No, I don't think I've seen that one. That sounds pretty memorable. Is there a title to it?
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. I don't remember seeing.
Yeah, I can pull it up here during. I'll pull it up here during the stream. It's a great movie. Great movie. I remember seeing it. I just want
to mention, Nemesis brought up, Van Helsing's not telling them the truth, and I think a lot of it has to do with he doesn't want to, put a burden on Lucy at this point either. If that makes any sense. That's what
it does. That's still the same old trope. They don't want to worry the women, right?
Yeah.
They'll tell the men, but they always tell the women, can you step out there? Can you go fix some coffee? Or basically they get rid of the women, and then once the women are out of the picture, they tell the men what's really going on. That's where she says ashtray.
Well, I think also he doesn't tell them right away is because he probably knows quite well that they'll think he's insane, and he's just giving them some crazy fantasy story, right? Because, they don't want to, they wouldn't believe right away that Dracula is real, necessarily.
Right, exactly. Oh, especially the part where if he mentions that he goes around killing them, that's going to be like, what?
Yeah.
So here's where we're getting the hint where she's already under the spell.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously she's being directed to open up these doors and all this other stuff. But of course, get rid of the necklace.
Yeah. Is it almost like there's some kind? I mean, I don't know. This is like 1958 or whatever. But even for a movie of 1958, is there not some kind of sexual undercurrent in that scene?
Oh, lots and lots.
Like it's very very sensual, in a way, in a weird way, but
it is. There's lots. It is very. Yeah. not so subtle scenes in it.
Hmm.
And on the original, by the way, that gramophone he has, I had a friend in California who had one of those
Cool.
with some of the original discs. And he had it in his
Wow.
storage shed. And I remember he had me, I went out there, I was helping him sort stuff. And I spotted, I said, "Oh my God, you've got one of those?" And he said, "Yes." And he played some of those discs, and it was interesting. Nemesis and Gorilla, you know what that is, right? A gramophone?
I've heard of it, but I've never actually
that's
seen one.
that is the very first thing that recorded sound. The very first thing that Edison invented. No, it was before Edison, but it was the very first thing that had sound recorded on it. It was before the record player, before the phonograph.
And it would be cylinders that the recording was made on, right? I believe.
Yes, a wax cylinder,
Hmm.
very crackly. And when I was doing my research on P.T. Barnum, I found that there is an actual recording of him and I'm talking like 1850, 1860.
Cool.
And there's a recording of P.T. Barnum saying, "This is Phineas Taylor Barnum," and blah, blah, blah. So if you search it out, you can find old recordings of like famous old dead people from back then.
I imagine
That
a
was
lot of
even-
those are on
that was
YouTube,
even-
probably.
Possibly on YouTube. That was even before they had photograph. That was when they called him a daguerreotype. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that daguerreotype,
Right.
where pictures were printed on metal and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
I haven't.
Jeez, man, give it the times. Fuck.
Right, where you been, Gorilla?
Where you been for the last 150 years?
Right. That's that new thing you're talking about on TikTok.
Oh, jeez. Oh, gosh.
I love the extravagant the set, the scenery, the props, everything. It looks very authentic.
Oh, this whole movie is fantastic for the stage sets, the castle. I mean, it's just all first rate.
It is.
Agreed, 100%. It's fantastic. Like, just everywhere you look, there's something to look at, but at the same time, not overwhelming. So,
Yeah, very well designed. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. 100% Nemesis. Yes.
I don't. And the question is, would they ever make this kind of movie anymore? And it's like probably not. Everything's got to be modern day. I don't think they would think people have the patience anymore. Even though we do, I don't think they would give us credit.
Well,
They
that's
don't
what I
care
like
about us.
what I love about these vintage films, right, is they put so much love and hard work into making these things, and it shows on the screen, right? They're getting every dollar, out of what they put into it.
Absolutely. And we get our second reveal of Dracula. And of course, he's almost as tall as that door, which is almost 7 feet.
It's amazing.
And I didn't realize until I had rewatched this, because I hadn't seen it in years, how little dialogue he has in this movie. And he doesn't really need. He still dominates that screen.
Yeah. It's all about the stance and the expressions. I like too
Yes.
how sometimes often the horror is off screen and we don't actually see it. Like when he goes down there in that bedroom scene to bite her on the neck again, he brings the cloak up and we don't see a darn thing, right? We see nothing,
Yes. Right. And that was taken from Bela Lugosi, where he draws the cloak up and you can't see the face. And now some of that was the censors at the time, because they wouldn't allow that and they thought it was too sexual. It was like almost a form of grape, but not really. So, but it's something now, if they made a movie, I don't think they would show it. Now it's got to be all violence and gore. And,
Yeah.
and that's the housekeeper and her daughter. But she ever gets time to get away for long enough to have a daughter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
And the
Go
doctor
ahead, bro.
always, everything's fine.
Well, I'm guessing there's a lot of stewardess or stewards around. But yeah, I love
exactly right, or butlers or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah, well, there's stewardesses and stewards. But I liked how he goes, "You're a doctor, right? You know what's wrong with her? Of course I do. No, why don't you cure her?"
Right.
Yeah, that was a good line.
And of course, all the doctors know. And of course, with his limited medical experience back then and knowledge, all he is, oh, she's fine, she's fine, she's fine. And he doesn't even, now he does not make the connection because obviously he had to inspect her or examine, I guess you could say. And he didn't think anything of the bites on her neck.
That
But
does seem a
we
bit
all
odd,
know,
yeah.
right? We all know, Dr. Van Helsing knows.
Well, he knows that she's anemic.
Yes.
And he even says it. He's like, well, it's anemia. And like, he's like, these things can take time, but I was really hoping to see like any sign of improvement by now.
Well,
So he's trying, but like nothing's happening.
Yeah, well, he had her on special diet and fluids and all that other stuff.
Well, since the 1800s, I'm surprised he doesn't bleed her with leeches.
Yeah, that was next week.
Well, no, she's anemic. The leeches would not be the proper solution in this one case. Neither would bloodletting. Like,
No, I agree with that. Yeah, with our knowledge, yeah. But of course, let Dr. Van Helsing examine her. He knows immediately. First thing he notices is her eyes, the pale skin, and the
Yeah,
bites.
the makeup is really good on her. She really does look very pale.
Mm-hmm. And of course, here's where he gives instructions. Oh, it's just not picking up the dialogue.
Yeah, that are almost immediately violated. Like in the next scene.
oh, dude, I know, right? I was just like, ugh.
No,
So
it's too bad
frustrating.
because the subtitles are not working very well tonight, but basically he's telling her that no, those are not bites or stings. And I want all the windows closed and sealed, and I want garlic hung around the room.
And under no circumstances are they supposed to be moved. Doesn't matter if the patient's uncomfortable, doesn't matter what. You don't move the stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't open the windows. Yeah.
That's right.
But
Which
we
is the
all know what
first- which is
happens
the-
in a few minutes.
Right. That's the very first thing the maid does, unfortunately.
Yep.
I hate
Silly
these
maid.
names. Maid, servant, butler, slaves. That's what it's always meant. That's what it always will mean. I hate how rich people put these stupid labels on things. It's to make themselves feel better, make their conscience feel better. It's ridiculous. And then they expect us to believe it too. It's like, no, they're slaves.
Well, her name's Gerda. Like, they say it several times. They're not like, oh, hey, slave, get over here and look after your child. Like,
No, of course not. Because I'm believing this is from living in California. It's because their conscience is the biggest thing under the surface. I'll call my dogs by their first name, but they are my pets. I'm their owner. But I call them by their first name. I don't say, hey, dog, come here. So they're slaves. But the first thing the rich people do not want to do is admit that to themselves. That's why in California, they are the ones that you see giving money to the people on the streets that just continues the cycle of the homeless people, because it's their conscience, this guilty conscience that is constantly digging at them, is why they give people money to people on the streets.
Anyway, it's too bad that the maid didn't actually listen to
Well, the maid
to
wasn't
her.
in the room, right? The maid wasn't in the room. So
Yeah,
the
but you
maid
think
must
she
have
would
heard
have?
it.
Wouldn't
She
she
must have heard
told the
it
maid
second.
under no circumstances, do
That's
this,
what I'm
do that,
saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think the maid heard it secondhand from Mina, but she didn't take it seriously. She wasn't as stern as Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Of course,
I think she was more of a bleeding heart than anything.
Yeah,
She is,
good point. Yeah.
and she's a mother herself, so she's got that sympathetic weakness. Unfortunately, no offense to mothers.
Fred, you got to bear in mind that chances are, well, I don't know how old Lucy is, but like Gerda's probably raised her too, right? Like,
That's what. Yeah, you would think. Yeah, since she was very young, she's probably been with the family for many, many years.
right? So like, yeah, it's and not only that, who knows? Like, because we've already seen that she's already been bitten once. How much power does she have? Has she transformed yet? I don't think so, not fully. But who's to say
Right.
that there's not residual powers that like come from like direct eye contact or something like that, right? Like,
That's what I meant earlier. I don't think. I don't think that Dracula has turned her into a vampire yet. I think he's just feeding off of her. I don't think he's. I think it depends on how much blood they drink. I'm not sure if that's ever been established or not. But I know I've seen it in a lot of these vampire movies where they're bitten time again, and they don't turn into a vampire yet. Then there's a certain
but
point
like,
where the vampire decides, and then he just really goes at it, and that's when they turn.
but like Jonathan was bitten by the chick, and he's like, I have like less than a day until I turn into a vampire. So this chick, Lucy's been bitten already. So like by the rules of this movie that's been established.
But remember, Jonathan could have been bitten again by Dracula.
I'm guessing he was. That's why he probably was asleep.
That's what I was thinking.
Right,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was thinking he was drained as well by Dracula because she didn't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that after Dracula, I don't know why, but after Dracula turns them into vampires, he doesn't bite them anymore. I think that's the reason why he uses them to feed on or feed off of without turning them, because once they're vampires, he doesn't seem to be interested anymore. I mean, otherwise he would be feeding off the women down below at the bottom of the castle for indefinitely.
Well, I'm guessing since once they turn, they're undead technically. So their heart doesn't beat. Maybe their
Blood's
blood doesn't
cold.
pump. Blood's cold.
Blood.
It probably
cold and
taste,
coagulated.
yeah, it doesn't taste good anymore. So of course he's not going to want to feed off of those chicks, right?
The vampire movie I watched a couple nights ago, when he was feeding, they were playing on what was going through his head, and he was talking about he could tell by the taste of blood of what country they were from.
Wow.
And he preferred the English nobleman, and
geez.
his least preference was South America.
Huh.
Aw. My roommate's dog, I can hear him crying. My roommate must be gone. And his dog's probably hungry. I know, I feel bad for that dog. He leaves for days at a time, and I feel sorry for that pooch.
Really? That's horrible.
Yeah, it is. But I'm not gonna, I won't interfere. I'm not gonna, interfere with his privacy and go in the room and feed the dog. I feel bad.
Right.
The bag's right outside the door, but
yeah, still, I mean, geez, it's like, the dog's alone and it doesn't have food. And does it have water? Does it,
probably not. I assume
nobody takes it out to, to do the bathroom stuff. It's like,
well, he does. Yeah. Eventually, when he comes home, he'll take it outside.
Yeah, but if it's been there for days, that's
I know.
Sounds pretty nasty.
Yeah, I know.
Yikes.
And it's a beautiful dog, a Springer Spaniel.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh well.
And okay, so Gerda does as she requests and gets rid of, unfortunately, all the plants and opens up the windows.
Silly Gerda.
Of course, she's all excited in anticipation. Yeah, I think those credits work, of course.
Because we got to know that the music's for foreboding.
I know. I know it's a pain, but for deaf people out there, it's a good thing, I guess, for their only option of enjoying the movie.
True. It's weird that works and the other subtitles aren't. That's really weird.
What I have to do, like right now, I'm showing slides, and for some reason, and I usually have no problem when I do these movies. When I'm doing the slides, the subtitles don't show up. But if I push play and let the video play, then it'll trigger the subtitles. Maybe what I should have done is downloaded separate subtitles, because the ones we're using are the ones that came with the movie. Sometimes I have to go and download. There's a website that specifically specializes in subtitles. Maybe I should have went and got them from there.
Might help. Never know. It's worth a try, I guess.
And Gerda's saying, yes, it's my fault. I'm sorry. What's your fault now? Because she's dead. No, that's not what
Yeah, I bet Lucy's sorry too.
What is going on here?
Uh-oh. Nemesis got big.
There we go.
I mean,
I don't know what happened.
no, I don't know either.
Me either.
Oh, are the subtitles still on even? Let me check. I know they are.
I don't see them. Oh, there. Oh,
Yeah,
now we got them.
Yeah,
Oh,
see, when the video is playing, yeah, because the video was playing, and that's just it. I don't want to get a copyright strike. But when the video is playing, they work fine. It's like,
They seem to be showing up now.
not when I go back to the slides, like now.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
And now here's where he tells them what's going on. They don't believe him, so he says, well, here's Jonathan Harker's diary. If you don't believe me, read it yourself. Oh, man, upset me. How are we doing on the chat, Gorilla?
We're all caught up. It's a slow night tonight for some reason. Even
Well,
Scurvy
maybe the
being
movie we're
quiet.
watching. I was wondering when I was going to show these Hammer movies, how well they would go over. I know it's an old movie, so maybe people might not be into it.
I think it might have been after the last few we watched too, with like the Blob and the Hatchet movie. Maybe people were like getting into the gore, and now this movie's a little too tame or something. Perhaps I'm just guessing.
It could just be a slow night. The other stream that I was on before this stream started, I was the only person talking. So,
Really?
like,
Really?
yep.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yikes! Wow.
I'll be right back.
Oh God! See, now we're losing Gorilla too. Like,
And we've
There
lost
we
the
go.
subtitles.
Give me just a moment. Well, actually, what I'm doing is I'm taking the time to get some different subtitles to see if we have better luck with them.
Oh, okay.
okay.
There they are. Now, let me see if I can sync the new ones up. There it is. All right, now let's continue and see what happens. There it is.
Hey.
See? Not only that,
Nice.
not only
All
do we get the
right.
subtitles, but they're yellow. So yeah, that's what happens when I add my own subtitles.
Oh well, it works. That's the main thing.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently that's when they see this little girl tells them they seen what's her face out and about.
Lucy.
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy, got some splaining to do.
Right, but here's the thing, though. You notice this little girl says, I found this little girl. She was very distressed, which means Lucy was in disguise and she's able to take different forms already. Did you guys catch that?
No, they're never able to take any other form.
Well,
because the little girl explains to Nina that she's like, I was walking and I saw Lucy and she took me out to the woods and then another dude came and they left me there and I was all by myself and I was very scared. So Dracula came and met her.
I remember that line, yeah.
And took Lucy away and left. What is her name? Tanya. Her name is Tanya, played by Janina Fey.
Tanya.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't say that Lucy left with the man. It just says somebody came along
Yes, it does.
and she ran away. So maybe she may have been spooked. Or it does? And that was lost.
I was under the assumption that the man, Dracula came and Lucy left with him.
Okay. And of course, I love this. They waste no time at all.
I also love how he goes out in the middle of the night with no defense, no stake, no nothing, to try and find Lucy when he knows, he should know by now what she's become. And he should know that he's got his life in serious danger by doing this. But of course, he goes out anyway.
Well, Van Helsing told him. Van Helsing told him, but I'm not sure if he was in total belief yet. But I know he now, after seeing the coffin, he definitely is.
Yeah, well, I mean, if somebody was dead and then they're walking around, the next night or whatever, I'd kind of start to get the suspicion there's something weird going on,
They just have the word of the little girl, though.
But the little girl. That's what I was going to say.
True, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Good point.
It could be the old ploy where maybe she just misses her really badly and thought she saw her. That kind of crap.
And maybe the kid's looking for attention, kind of thing, too. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Right, we haven't gotten to the point in the movie where we've seen Lucy as a full-on vampire yet, so we don't know if she's if she's been turned or not. Like, we know as an audience, obviously, but Arthur being skeptical among everything is like, yeah.
He's probably less skeptical after this scene, though.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that would be pretty freaky, I gotta say.
I mean, it would
creepy look. I love it.
Oh, she's great in this scene. Yeah, she's scary.
Yeah. Well, even just the concept that, like, here comes your undead aunt, who's like, "Let's go and play. We're just gonna play forever."
Oh yeah, very scary. And luckily, good old Van Helsing shows up at the last second here to save the day, right? Or save the night.
And it looks like the subtitles are off. Why didn't you come sooner? That's running a little late. Subtitles may not work. I may have to buy other ones.
They were working a second ago.
That's what I thought. But I think they were off after confusing me about what the little girl was saying.
Huh.
When you go to download subtitles, there could be 24, and sometimes you have to. The first ones won't work. They're not quite synced up right with the movie itself, and you've got to go and get them a couple times. Oh, that poor dog, and they're crying. Looks like I just grab some food and toss it in the door or something.
Just do it.
Yeah, like.
Knowing my luck, I'd open the door and he's sitting right there.
Oh, knock first.
I use the old guys. I was just knocking because I was wondering if you're okay. I heard your dog crying.
Yeah. You're worried about the dog.
And see, I don't want him knocking on my door when I'm not here.
That's true. Yeah. I take it there's no locks on the doors that you can lock.
No.
for
privacy.
I'm sure
Mr. CCTV would see. I used to have a house where I rented out rooms, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but the only reason why I don't put a lock on the door is what if there's a fire when I'm not here? I could leave a key with Mr. CCTV, but then what's the point of having a lock on the door?
Well, maybe just don't lock it when you're not at home, and just maybe just you have to trust them, kind of thing.
Yeah. Why should I would inside my room?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, I don't think there's going to be a fire inside my room, unless I light it on fire.
I don't think there'd be a fire inside my room while I'm gone because I'm not here to start a fire.
Yeah. Thing is, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't have a lock on my main door. Right? I just wouldn't be able to sleep. I'd be too I'd just be too uncomfortable because you never know, right? Because I've had a few nights when somebody's knocked on my door late at night for no reason, and of course I don't answer it, and then they go away. But it's kind of creepy, I gotta say.
Well, if it was an apartment like yours, yeah, I would. But considering mine's a bedroom in a house, I
Yeah,
know where it's out there, right?
yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
if I
we're,
lived in a
we're
big
getting
city like yours, I would, but I'm in a small town.
anyway we're getting
Yeah, it's crazy. I harp on Scoglie to lock the door. Whereas, like, when I lived out in my small town, I used to leave the keys in my vehicle unlocked, sitting in the driveway, right? Not a worry.
small
No
town.
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the small town thing's quite different, though, isn't it? Like,
Oh.
I grew up in a fairly small town. Well, not that small, but nobody locked their doors when I was a kid.
And here, Mr. CCTV will not let me lock the door even if I wanted to. The front doors
Mm,
and back door.
really?
That's so fucked
Yeah,
up. And I insist. I go on tirades if the doors aren't locked.
the first night I got here, I didn't know, and I went to lock the door. And it wouldn't, and I was having trouble locking it. And I said, I'm having trouble locking the door. Is there something I'm doing wrong? No, don't lock that door. Never lock that door. I said, oh, I'm sorry. He goes, yeah. He goes, when I stumble home drunk, I don't want to have to try to figure out how to get in.
Oh my God!
Okay. I'm like, all right.
Lovely.
Wow, what an excuse, eh? Jeez.
Yeah, at least he's honest.
Yeah,
I
but
can't.
still.
I'm having trouble reading this PvP. Can you read it?
Sorry, that was me knocking PvP, looking for eggnog. Oh, okay, that explains it then. Okay.
Haha.
The eggnog knocker.
Yep. Ooh, ouch.
See, this is
Ooh,
what I was talking about. That's a little rough for 1958.
that is a little rough, that scene. Yeah.
She's like, what, huh? Who, what, where?
Well, she doesn't have to guess for too long.
And these
Uh,
are
poor
the
girl.
scenes
Well, and like,
that pretty much they were.
go ahead, Puck.
I was just gonna say these are the scenes that they're pretty much straight up parodying in Fright Night with Peter Vincent when they're showing the clips from the old movies, and he's killing vampires. These are the movies that they're pretty much making fun of.
Yeah, well, and like they explained with Peter in the scene earlier with Peter Cushing, where he's talking to himself, that like, well, and even when he was explaining to Arthur, he's like, it's just a vessel, like it's possessed, it's the evil spirit, like that's not Lucy anymore. Lucy's gone, like, and so
Yep.
like once again, that thing that was just looking around in sheer desperation wasn't Lucy. It was whatever was possessing her, being like, oh shit, something bad's happening real quick, and then. Well, I didn't,
Like an
as you guys
animal,
say, I didn't have too long to contemplate on it.
right? Like an animal that's trapped.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, she's got to go and look, and then she looks at peace, which is nice. And you notice how the cross burn on her forehead's gone now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. The when the vampire woman, Miss Valerie Gaunt, was stabbed and she turned into the old lady, she too had a smile on her face. She was at peace.
Yeah, because the demon or whatever you want to call it has left their body.
Yeah,
And they're finally
was
they're finally
forcibly
gonna-
expelled.
So their soul was at unrest the entire time.
Yeah. Well, because they go on to say that, like, yeah. I'm gonna think about it. Carry on.
This is what I meant, and I did misunderstand the text earlier, but I was talking about how Dracula is able to change shape and form. He's saying some of that's a common fallacy.
Yeah.
Holy cult. I can think of many of those. I can't believe we're living in a day and age where each of us are in our homes, but we've got to worry about what we say, or they could come after us, or censor us, or worse. And but we are living in those days now, and that is sad and very depressing.
I guess I haven't been censoring myself very well. Like,
There's a lot of things that we can't say on here. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is true. Yeah, we can cuss and say swear words, but I'm talking about there's a lot of things that we got to watch out what we say here because of we know how. Let's just say sensitive YouTube is.
Yeah.
Or was there something you were saying?
Well, you guys got to thank the AI. That's why you got to thank the AI guys. Like it's the AI that's going through and checking the scripts, not people.
Well, the AIs are programmed by humans, so it's those people it's the humans you've got to blame. They shouldn't be using AIs as a tool for that reason, because AIs were always inevitable, but the evil people are the ones that program them. They should have been for good, but they're not. They're being used for bad things. Here's where he said, somebody wants to meet you. I don't know who he was. You know what I mean by the text is off.
it's funny that the guy as soon as they put money on the thing, well, I suppose we could make an exception for emergency.
Well, that's a problem. I'm assuming that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, I can't even see the denomination on it.
Well, and it would have been Romanian money, so it's not like it would have even mattered anyways, because it's not like it's American money that you would have been used to.
Yeah, well, his job probably doesn't pay all that well because it seems like he's kind of got free room and board kind of since he lives in the place here, so he's probably not getting a huge salary, I'm guessing. And another scene where somebody wanders off in the middle of the night, risking their lives.
Arthur, is that you? Was not to worry about, of course, somebody just sleeps in a coffin.
Yeah, and then they tell her to go get something from the basement. She goes, I'll never go down there. Let's see. She yelled at me to stay out of the basement.
Right.
Oh, that doesn't happen until much later.
Oh, I thought this was right here at this scene.
No, this is at the mortician's.
Oh.
Or the Undertaker's house.
Oh, gotcha.
Way to spoil the movie, bro.
Right. The look on her face like she's just been beeped.
Well, I mean, like...
That's fine, right.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, because they're like, she doesn't know about anything about the vampires. They haven't told anything. Like, Arthur has been very protective over Mina. From what I can tell. Like, Peter hasn't...
She's already...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say,
No, you
told her. But she's worried with Dracula because obviously she's been bitten now at this point.
Yes, you can tell by the fondling at the neck and whatnot. And she even looks predatory, and she sounds like more sexual.
But I'm saying like she's just been screwed. That's how she looks. She's all
okay. No, I see what you're saying now.
You getting what he's throwing down there, skirt or Nemesis?
Fucking yes, course, gorilla.
What better place to hide than a coffin factory, of course. That's odd. There was a coffin there a little while ago.
Like, what a strange person.
Yeah, he was kind of a weird dude. Like he was taking joy. Like, watch the steps, because some dude came down here one time to visit, his dead friend, and he ended up dead because he fell down the stairs and killed himself. And then he gets a good laugh out of it, right? Like, I thought, well, that's pretty weird.
Well,
I mean, I get the irony. I thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, that's fucking horrible, but kind of funny too.
Yeah, the irony, but gleefully laughing about some poor
Well-
guy's, death is like, I don't
Well,
know.
PvP, and I think Pop might be able to vouch for this one here. When people are in the rough jobs, like the morticians there, your paramedics, your army medics, in the army,
Fair enough.
police, you develop a dark sense of humor as a way to
Defense.
fight the stress of the job and the horrors.
The
of it.
trauma.
A defense
trauma.
mechanism, in other words. Yeah, I get it. Well, the thing
Yeah.
is, too, if you're a mortician, you've seen probably thousands of dead people in your career. So after a while, it probably is pretty hard to, be that upset about it anymore, right? Because you just have to get a thick skin, so to speak.
They have a weird relationship with death, for sure.
Yeah, they totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little mortician humor. Evil.
Ah,
And they lay their trap. And
Oh
there's
yeah,
a
I'm
quiet
forgetting
word-
this.
Yeah, because they're standing outside thinking, okay, we're not gonna let him in. And all he does is go right through the front door. They don't even see him.
Well, no, we find
No.
out
He
later.
was in the basement. Remember?
oh, goddamn, PvP, you spoiled it again. I thought Gorilla spoiled it. Jesus.
Well, Gorilla did mention it like 5 minutes ago. So
I know.
I
I
forget-
know.
I'm forgetting this is back when movies actually went right up to the however long the damn movie is. Instead, all the credits were in the beginning.
pretty much, yeah.
Right? Like, see, she's terrified. Like, she was backing up.
Terrified.
She's scared of this dude. Like, there's a little bit, like, yeah, there was the direct eye contact. You saw a little bit of, like, the seductive powers, but for the
Oh,
most
yeah.
part, she's just
Yeah.
scared.
Well, she
Well, yeah,
seems to be giving in there, though.
Well, it's a turmoil, inner turmoil. She is frightened, but
Yeah.
there's nothing she can do. She's
Yeah.
under his power.
She just seemed a little
Exactly.
bit turned on for a second there, though.
I mean, wouldn't you?
No.
Oh, sorry, bro. Jeez.
Hey, Christopher at least, wasn't a bad looking man, but I don't swing that way, so
Well, catch up with the
You
time.
don't have...
Yeah.
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 Ooh,
I'm gonna
that's
grab a soda. Be
lots
right
of
back,
blood.
guys.
Wow,
Good callback. Good callback.
boy, that is quite bloody.
Uh,
Actually, that's weird. I just got a soda a couple minutes ago when I put myself on mute for a minute there.
Yeah, I just got myself some dumplings.
Ooh.
and I just rolled up a joint, so sounds like we're all taking a break. All right, sounds
Oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll take Nemesis there. I'll trade you Nemesis.
I mean, dude, I'll definitely take some dumplings. I'm kind of got the munchies. Like, yeah, I'll trade these.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about supper yet. Gosh.
Oh, here I'll put.
And see, once again, like,
Now you can
just talk.
you do use you guys do use cups, right?
Yeah,
Generally.
we use cups.
Yeah, I generally don't
Okay.
drink anything out of my hand. So yes, I generally do use a cup.
No, for measurement.
For measurements, PvP.
Measurements. Oh, wow. No. Well, I don't do enough baking to worry about that. So
Yes, we use cups up here, Gorilla.
if I was
All
going
right,
to bake,
there you go,
something,
there's-
I guess I would. This is a pretty cool scene here.
It's funny,
And
this
well-
scene out of the entire movie made me the most uncomfortable.
It's just
Well,
so
and something
elaborately
they don't
done.
mention here, something
It's
they don't
kinda
mention here,
convincing.
obviously, too. They're assuming that the husband and wife are both the same blood type. So you can't just mix
Yes.
blood types.
Right.
I thought that. That's husband. Okay, never mind.
What did you think, Gorilla?
I was thinking for some reason I was thinking mother son,
Oh.
but it could be.
Well, then it would
For
be
all I
fine.
know.
If it was mother son, there'd be no problem.
Is that a thing?
What a thing.
Never mind. We'll carry on. Carrying on.
I do like the way that they went to quite an elaborate level, though, with the blood transfusion scene. It, to make it, at least somewhat semi-convincing, at least.
Yeah, they even have him raised up higher than her. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. This is where I was thinking too. This establishes, uh, wow, it's like, okay, Peter Cushing does a good job playing a doctor. I wonder how he would do as Dr. Frankenstein.
He really did play it well in this scene, I thought. Yeah.
Well, in Dr. Frankenstein, these movies progress and the times and the era progresses. By the time we get into the 60s, they start allowing a lot more gore. So we'll see, Dr. Frankenstein with like a heart in his hand and stuff like that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Severed limbs.
Nice.
Nobody's wearing masks. I wonder if they're doing anything about being sterile.
Oh, he got some sleeves rolled up for starters.
Oh,
Well,
looks
that
like he has
helps,
it
yeah.
in an alcohol solution.
Yeah, he did rub something on their arms after he finished. Yeah.
Oh, and then he threw the needles in an alcohol solution.
Yep. Right. To sterilize.
So there was some level of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they do about that then. Oh no, damn it. What have we been doing this whole time? See how the texts are a little late because now they're playing the text of the maid saying she told me never go down to the cellar, and it's like, oh, they're already down there. So yeah, we're running a few seconds late. Next time, I promise I'll check out and make sure the subtitles are working before the movie. Fucked up again, huh, bitch?
Yeah, this maid was getting really annoying by this point, I gotta say.
Well, that's just two big mistakes. Two people are dead because of her.
And she don't learn. Yeah.
But of course, it's not entirely her fault. Nobody's telling her anything. She doesn't know what's going on.
I get the feeling even if they told her, she wouldn't know what's going on.
Well, right? Like, it's like
Right.
if the person who employs you gives you a direct order,
You follow it. If you want to keep your job, at least that's my experience.
usually
Well,
speaking, yeah.
Right, and back then, losing your job was a very bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of poverty. Remember, this took place around the same time as Jack the Ripper. So that's what a lot of women ended up doing at the time.
Oh, I love this scene. A little bit of comedy relief coming up here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was laughing so hard at the scene here.
I love this scene.
Right
It was
when he
great.
gets it fixed, they come crashing through it again.
Yeah. Well, I guess the first coach was Dracula, and the second coach is Van Helsing. Trying to track him down. So,
Have you guys seen where supposedly obviously I've never done it myself, but train crossings, they're like balsa wood, so that way they're easy to break in case a car does crash through them.
really,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't want to
Noticed
stop
that.
the car; they want them to be able to get through. But yeah, it's like in the movies they shatter very easily, and from what I've heard, they're actually designed to do that intentionally.
Huh.
Here we go with the second coach. A little bit of levity in the movie. And
Yeah,
they,
it's one of the
and
few
you
little
get there
bits of
just as he's
humor.
heading in, right? Of course, he was trying to bury the body, and there's no time for that.
Hmm.
Right, like she's still awake and she's like coming to and she screams and he just like throws the dirt in her face and he's like, okay.
All right. I'm alive here, He's trying to hide the evidence, pretty much.
Yep.
You're out of time.
No, I do like how he did remember to throw the cross inside the coffin before he left. There now
Absolutely. And this is very smart. I love this here
Yeah.
because he basically acts and fakes that he's unconscious. You think Dracula, being 400 or 500 years old, would be smarter than that, but oh well.
Well, he probably just wants to get rid of Van Helsing because he knows he's one of the few threats that, could actually kill him.
Well, that's why you
Well,
don't
and
snap
like,
his neck.
yeah, you'd think so, right? Like, but like, I mean, the movie has to happen because like the whole thing is why he's rushing is because it's getting near dawn and he's gonna die.
That's
Right.
that too. Yes.
And this is the 50s where they strangle someone to death. Right, because they're not going to show him like twist his head off or break his neck or snap his neck because it's the 58. So it's just choke him. Oh, I wish I could play this whole thing without getting copyright stricken, but that's not going to happen.
Mm.
But yes, he has not been bitten yet. Thank goodness. That's what I meant about him doing his own stunt right there. Peter
Yeah,
Cushing
it was
insists on
great.
doing his own stunt.
And the special effects on this were quite interesting at the end here. I mean, it's grotesque how his leg is just shriveling up into a dead thing while he's
Yep.
still, undead, so to speak. Like, it's just really kind of creepy. I love that scene with the hand. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
And obviously, since he's 400 or 500 years old, he does turn to dust.
Yep. And I gotta say, Christopher Lee's acting is awesome in this scene. Like, he's really playing it up. Like, it's really cool.
Yep. Peel that flesh off.
I'm not so sure about that part there. That's maybe it doesn't quite work for me, but it's still a pretty cool scene overall.
I liked it. I thought it was cool. I really liked the I don't know, the horoscope crest on the floor there too.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was a very cool.
The zodiac. There we go.
And
Yeah.
it's all blowing away. Yeah.
And Dracula's ring.
And look, only a minute of credits, not these 10-minute credits we used to get.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Exactly right.
We're getting now.
We're gonna get an after credit scene.
No after credit scene, no lousy rap or a horrible song at the end. Sometimes they'll kick it with a nasty song.
What you mean? No after credit scene where the and Dracula's tap dancing or something? Oh well, darn.
Right. Or the Wolfman comes walking in. All right, so that's it. And we're making pretty good timing here, if I do say so myself, even though we've got distracted a couple times. As a reminder to everybody, there is a poll in the chat. If you feel free to vote, please do so. Let us know what you thought about this movie or our coverage of this movie. If you're watching this on a rerun, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Please consider hitting the like button, maybe subbing to my channel. I sent a note to Twitter, not Twitter, but YouTube on Twitter, because I don't think I'm ever going to be monetized. They've got something personal against my channel. I deleted all my Star Trek bloopers, and they refused monetization again. And so I don't know what's going on, short of me deleting my entire channel.
But that would be pointless.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense because my channel now is exactly like Jill's and many other YouTubers. Now it's nothing but reviews, which are supposedly open. Reviews are supposed to be allowed. That's all my channel is now. Like I said, I got rid of the bloopers. So there's no excuse. But all
Yeah,
they do, it says your channel, we refuse to monetize because of, all it says is reused content. And it won't tell me what specifically. So I've given up on it. They're just being
if they had,
assholes.
yeah, if they had any decency at all, they'd give you a reason. Like, it's just bullshit what they're doing. Really, it really is.
Here, I think what it is, I think part of the problem is that when most people, when they reach a certain guidelines, like Jill's did, you know, like I don't know how many viewings and how many hours, whatever. I think it might be automated that they automatically give you monetization. But for some reason,
Oh,
I've got a person that's going in and looking in, and they just don't like what I'm doing.
weird.
So, do I just start like deleting entire swaths and playlists? Like, do I delete all the Gilligan's Island? Do I delete all the Lost in Space? I mean, what is the fucking point?
Well,
Because
if
there are channels that show reviews just like I'm doing. I'm not showing anything different than them. If
yeah,
I was, I would have been copyright stricken a long time ago.
the thing is, if you went ahead and say deleted all the season 1 of Lost in Space, it would be totally defeating the purpose, right? Because all those fun live streams will be gone, and
Well, yeah, they
unless
don't
you
care about that.
unless you
YouTube doesn't
save them,
care.
you know, to a hard drive somewhere, and if they monetized you at that point, then you would know, oh, it was Lost in Space, or, you know, whatever. I mean, whatever content, you know,
I know.
you could try taking one thing down at a time just to see what the reaction is.
I thought
I,
about that.
you know,
You know, it would be nice if they. I mean, it wouldn't kill them to tell me what the problem is.
oh, it's corporate bullshit. It really is. It's very
It is, and
annoying.
I think they're playing politics because, like I said, it's not anything different than what's on a lot of other channels. And there's a lot of other channels that actually show a lot more video clips and things than I do. So
Oh hell,
I don't know.
I watch some of the there's reaction channels that do you know, like Star Trek TOS I've been watching lately, and some of those channels are they'll show whole scenes from the episodes,
I
like
know,
be like 20 minutes long, and
and they're
half
monetized.
yeah, and it's just like play the whole scene with Kirk and Spock and McCoy, you know, doing whatever, right? It's
Yeah.
I don't get it. And like you
Well,
say, Jill's channel is pretty much exactly like yours in most ways, you know.
you know, look how much I play on Waltons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but are you monetized?
Not yet.
Well, you mean we'll see if they'll monetize you? That's the whole thing. Is hopefully they won't give you all the shit that they're giving me, but we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
really
hey,
strange.
LDG, welcome.
Good to see you, LDG. You know what?
Hey, LGG.
And I'm hoping to. It's not like it's not that I want a bunch of money. I don't have enough people subs to tune in to give me a bunch of money. The only thing I was doing was hoping to earn enough just to pay for my StreamYard monthly payments. That's all. But like I said, I got rid of all the Star Trek. Anything that's not mine, like all my videos are my content that I edited and put together. And other than that, it's reviews, which are supposed to be open to fair use. So I don't know what their excuse is. Like I said, I sent them another text today on Twitter saying, "What gives? You know, what the hell do you expect from me?" I'll see what kind of answer I get from that. I don't expect a lot. I don't have high hopes.
Yeah. I read
But
that
like I
this
said,
morning before I started work, and I agree with everything you said, and it's ridiculous what they're doing.
all right. Yeah, I hope you guys, if you enjoyed this stream, please vote in the chat. I'll be ending the poll here pretty soon. I'll share it with everybody. But I'll do like I usually do, and I hope it's okay if I go around like I usually do also in clockwise fashion. And Nemesis, do you mind telling us what grade would you give this movie? And maybe share something about your channel if you'd like to.
Here, just a sec. Before Nemesis starts, well, LDG, I did not know you were here because this is the first time you put something in the chat. It says, welcome. I've been here, damn it, girl.
Damn it.
Well,
I don't know, LDG.
I don't know you're here if you don't put nothing in the chat, because I've been keeping an eye on the chat, checking my watch. I was like, kind of slow for chats tonight.
Gorilla, is Saturday? I know you were talking about getting drunk. Is that the day of the funeral?
No, that was last Saturday. This is our
What's
family
the-
get together. Our
Okay,
family
gotcha.
get together for between Thanksgiving and at Easter we do we kind of mix the two together because the amount some people have to drive 2 hours.
Gotcha. So where's it going to be held at?
15 miles north of me.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, very cool. Sorry, go ahead, Nemesis.
That's okay. This was great as an introduction to Hammer horror. It was a solid A. It moved along at a really nice pace. There were some twists and turns. There were some beautiful women. There was some nice cleavage. There was fantastic acting. All of the scenery was great. Like, just the sets itself were fantastic. The Dracula's castle was awesome. Like, the music was fantastic, which is one thing that we haven't been able to really talk about because, I mean, if you can't play the movie, you can't hear the music. So, but the orchestrations were fantastic. It wasn't like bombastic or in your face usually. It's held on point for what it needed to be. Like, and it didn't mess around. There wasn't any filler. There wasn't any nonsense that we didn't really need to have in the movie. Yeah, it's a solid A. Like, and then when it comes to my channel, I've been doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links as of late. Just been uploading videos as to that. So once again, just no talking in the videos, just kind of speed dueling along. When I'm facing opponents, I can't really explain the card combos and whatnot. So maybe in the future, I'll look at doing videos explaining my deck and blah, 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 and how all the things that interplay with it. But yeah, definitely check me out and please subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you to Pop and Gorilla and PvP and the chat for being here tonight. This has been wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I'm so glad you're here. And that's a good point. Is everybody? I have a fund here that I created for Nemesis. I'm hoping that maybe we can put together enough to get him at least a basic computer together so that he can start doing YouTube like the rest of us. Right now, a lot of what he's having to do is on a phone. So if Nemesis is able to engage a little better, maybe build his channel, add some content, maybe do a little bit of editing, it'd be great. And I'm going to drop the link here to this GoFundMe in the chat if you're able to. Any little bit helps. If we don't reach our goal, at least maybe we could try to get as close to it as possible. I'm going to leave it open for a while, but I want to make sure that I push it, but not really push it into everybody's faces. But I want to make sure that everybody does get exposed to at least see it and get an opportunity maybe to help out.
Well, I appreciate that, Pop. Thank you so much. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Believe me, I wish I had a second laptop. I would send it to you right now. Mine's a cheap one, so it won't do you any good. As you guys see, I'm always having trouble with it. Yeah, a busted one's not going to do any good. All you can do is just stare at it and hope.
Yeah.
Gorilla, tell us. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that busted one there, I fried the hard drive when I accidentally spilled my pop on it.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, that's probably more than just the hard drive.
Oh, interesting. No, I was just staring out the window. Oh, sorry, guys. Talking Scobly. Cheers. Thank you.
Tell me today.
Pop, Gorilla, PvP, and all the chat say hello. Scobly says hello back to everyone and wishes you all the best.
Oh, I thought I heard I wasn't talking to you.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what you heard, but
but no, for me, I have to give the ear-pitching screams and the orchestra sounds just because of the dueling stereotypes there. Where back then it was mono, and now we got whatever's in my headphones there. I got really learned not listen to the stuff with headphones on because man, that ear pitching screaming. No, but it's good.
Yeah.
I felt like I had deja vu while watching this and all that. I give it an A+ in the poll and stuff, but I thought it was really, really good. It kept me somewhat entertained and all that. It's a good story to follow along, and there wasn't no filler in it. Like they had to make sure it's a certain length of time. For the theaters, it's you tell the story, then roll credits.
Right, like when we covered The Blob from the exact same year, that movie had a lot of filler, a lot of talking heads, where we were just like wanting, okay, come on, get on with it, get on with it. But there's none of that here. Everything that was it was perfect, and it was just enough to keep the plot going. They wasted no time, I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree.
Yeah, no. As for my channel, we got Justified tomorrow night at 7:00. Wednesday, we're reviewing The Awakening, which I'm gonna have a couple of beers before we start that one. But no, I won't.
Is that a horror? Is that a horror movie?
No, The Waltons, Awakening. The episode, The Awakening.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, that's right. Sorry about that.
The one with Grandma turning depressed because she's 68, and Mary Ellen's got the hots for a college boy and all that. It's
Yeah, better get the booze.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a groaner for sure.
Or like I said, it sounds like a B plot from TNG.
well, either way. Then there's gonna be nothing Saturday because I got the family get together and all that, and then Sunday, we are watching Nightmare Before Christmas.
Jack Skellington. You knew who does the voice of Jack Skellington?
You can find out here
Chris
in 30
Sarandon.
seconds.
Chris Sarandon, the guy that played the vampire in Fright Night.
Okay.
Tell us about your. Okay, is there anything else about your channel you'd like to mention?
I got a bunch of shorts on there. I actually just had one of my shorts is a couple, like 100 away from being the highest watched video on my channel.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's at 16,000.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
pretty
dude.
good. Wow.
Which short is that?
Oh, the guy that about got smoked by a train.
Okay, gotcha. Well, not all you gotta do is just copy stuff from Twitter then, or whatever.
Oh no, that's just one. I seen that. And I was like, Darwin Award right there.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I
it's
appreciate
amazing,
it,
isn't
Gorilla. Thank you for your review, Gorilla. I appreciate that and your time, and thank you for helping me out tonight with the chat.
And no problem.
All right, PvP, are you ready?
I guess as ready
Would
as
you
I'll
like to
ever
share
be.
what your grade and what you think?
Well,
What do
you
you
know,
think
I
about
do
this
tend to
movie?
grade conservatively. I liked the movie. I think it was a very, very good film. I thought Christopher Lee was great. Of course, Peter Cushing was awesome. I thought Peter Cushing really he was the centerpiece of the film for me.
Have you seen
Because
it
Van
before?
Helsing, I'd never seen it before. No,
Okay, go ahead.
which is
Sorry.
maybe why I was a little conservative on it. I gave it a B plus, a strong B plus. It just wasn't quite A material for me. Maybe if I rewatched it, I might bump it up to A. Um, but the one thing that worked again, I mean, everything was great. The sets, the costumes, the atmosphere, the music, everything was great. The only thing that kind of held it down to the B plus level for me was I found the pacing a little bit slow at times. And I know they had to develop the storyline and they had to introduce the characters and set the scenario and all that good stuff. But I just found it, even for an 82-minute film, I found it a little slow paced in spots. But that's really my only criticism, when I think about it. So yeah, it's a damn good film. I mean, definitely recommend it. And another reason I didn't give it a strong A was I'm sure as the Hammer films progress and we get more, of the Dracula series, I'm sure there are going to be films that I will, get up into the A category for sure. Because I'm expecting, as they build on the franchise and they build the series, they're going to build the lore and it's going to get more complicated. And so I'm expecting, as the films progress, they are going to get more and more entertaining with each film. I'm guessing.
Or maybe a little less exposition, right? Because like
Yeah,
you
there
said,
was a
they
little
are
bit too
establishing
much
the role.
exposition at times for my taste, but still, it was a great film. Like, I highly recommend anybody, especially anybody that likes, vampire movies, is like, definitely, this is one you should watch, for sure. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it, I guess. I don't think I can add much more.
Anything you'd like to share about your channel?
Not a heck of a lot new. I do try and, add a few things every week. Usually on the weekends, I'll put a new playlist of some sort together. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on at this point. Just, adding some music stuff now and then. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I suppose.
Okay, well, I appreciate your review and thank you for joining tonight.
Oh, I
I really
always love to
appreciate it. I
join.
think it was,
I always love to
yeah, it
come
really
on the
helps having you
sci-fi
guys
horror
here.
streams. Yeah, it's always fun.
And I'm gonna say I'll give it an A. For me, I said it before and I'll say it again. It's like if you have a palette of horror, you've got to have Hammer on there. It's like a big hole missing if it's not on there. There's a lot of class. It's just a lot of class that I don't see in modern day movies. It's nice to see a script that doesn't dumb down the audience and treat us like we're all stupid. It doesn't treat us like we're all little prepubescent little girls that scream about every little thing that goes bump in the night. And it's filled with people of high quality and upbringing and classical training, which is something I know for sure we'll never see again in Hollywood. And so I really appreciate that, especially with I'm thinking of one of the most recent vampire / Dracula movies this year, Voyage of the Diameter, which really, really was terrible. Terrible. They actually took Dracula, made it woke. Horrible, horrible movie.
Oh, geez, really? Oh.
Yes, it was terrible. But the one I watched the other night that I was mentioning at the beginning of the stream, El Conde, Spanish movie where it's basically a Spanish version of Dracula. Great movie, black and white. The whole entire movie's in black and white. It's a brand new movie, but it's really, really good. And surprisingly, it focuses a lot on him flying, which is something you never see in any vampire movie. But this movie goes on and on with the flying sequences, which I really enjoy because I haven't seen flying sequences like that since the original Superman. But it was a good movie. It was taken seriously. It even ends with the F-I-N, fin, instead of the N. So it's artsy in a way. But what he does in that movie, he pulls out the hearts of his victim. I mean, he bites them on the neck, but then he pulls out the hearts and then grinds them up in a blender and drinks it.
God.
But
Wow.
Fantastic movie. And after all these years, I was waiting for it too. So I wasn't totally surprised. I was like, okay, am I going to see it? Am I going to see it? Am I going to see it? Yeah, they actually had it. We get a flying nun. for you young people out there, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But
I'm guessing
it. Nice.
I'm guessing it wasn't Sally Field doing a guest starring role.
Right. Exactly. No, it wasn't. No, but then what's funny is when she was flying, a couple of the things she did was right out of the Flying Nun, like when she did somersault.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, but sorry about you. I'm sorry. Nemesis and Gorilla probably don't know what I'm talking about. But
that's hilarious.
Oh, I do. I was never a fan of the Flying Nun, so I'm just like,
well, for me, it's like
I'll take a flying vampire nun over a flying nun.
I don't know if I was a fan of it. It's just I remember it. And I'm watching this movie, and the vampire is basically his next victim is going to be a nun. And I was thinking, are they going to show it? Are they going to do it? Come on, are they going to do it? And then he bites her, and the first thing she does is get up and then walk out the door and fly, and then start doing somersaults and all that shit like Sally Field. And I just couldn't help it. I couldn't contain myself. It was too much.
That sounds great.
Dare I say it? It was too good to be true.
Man.
But yeah, too bad her name wasn't Sister Betril. I do remember that was the name of the Flying Nun.
I actually kind of enjoyed Flying Nun. It was silly, but it was kind of fun, on a silly level.
It was all the producers, writers, directors, and everything were the people from Bewitched. So basically, when Bewitched went off the air, they went on and did Flying Nun. So if you watched it now, you'd recognize the names. The music is very similar. The The pacing, the structure, all that is very similar. And we
Right.
also get Sarah from the one who had hot Cool Whip at the old Tucker Inn. But that's really going back.
Yeah, I remember
Anyway,
there was an episode. There was one episode actually written by Harlan Ellison. Can you believe it?
I didn't know that. I need to check it out.
Yeah,
I do
I
have the
remember.
series on my server.
I remember watching it. And there was one. I think it was in season 2, perhaps. And I can't remember if it was Harlan using his Cordwainer Bird pseudonym or if it was. I think it might have actually been
Probably.
under. I think it might have actually been under his name though. Otherwise, I might not have noticed it. Right, but yeah, there's definitely an episode that he wrote, which kind of blew my mind the first time I saw it. Actually,
Well, they would have kept his name, or he would have, if they didn't rewrite his script. So if they stuck to it, then yeah, then he would have kept his name on there.
yeah, it was pretty funny to see.
But yes, I enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I really I can't stress enough how much I love the duo of Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Like I said, they did so many movies together. They were real life pals up until Peter Cushing passing away. And it's such a treat seeing them too. I could watch their movies both separately when they acted separately and with together. I could watch their movies over and over and never get tired of them. Well, I guess I couldn't watch Lord of the Rings. I know this is gonna, and people are gonna hate me for this, but I thought Peter Jackson forced himself on Christopher Lee and made him his best friend, because that's pretty much what happened with Peter Jackson. Is when he hired Christopher Lee for Lord of the Rings, he practically moved in on him and then stayed there the whole time and forced him to become a friend. But
Really?
Christopher seemed to enjoy that. So I can't knock it. I mean, the man was much wiser than I am. And of course, like everybody mentions here, I know it's going to sound like a repeat, but the production design in the movie, the acting, the costumes, everything is top notch. No disappointment there. And set design, the matte paintings definitely stand out. Matte paintings are one of the big things that really help sell a movie. And I'm pulling up something here. Let me click on this. Bear with me, everybody. I was mentioning on my last stream that Christopher Lee did death metal, that he was definitely a musician, and I'm going to see if I can play a little snippet of that.
Yeah, I forgot to check that out. You mentioned that before. Yeah, geez. That's something I never expected out of Christopher Lee.
All right. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this, but I'm going to risk it. Okay, here we go. I'll play a little bit of the audio here.
Those pagans to Christian rule. I send the blood of 4,000 Saxon men. I send blood of Saxon men. I send the blood of the Saxon men.
Anyway, that's a bit of a snippet right there. So
That sounds
just
more
go to
like
YouTube, look up Christopher Lee metal.
Okay, that sounds more classical
That
to
was
me.
more.
Actually,
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I've listened to a few of the songs. This one's a little more operatic or classical,
operatic,
but he
right?
does have
Yeah.
other ones. Right, but he does have other ones that are like straight up death metal. So he does have a
Okay.
variety because he actually has several albums.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So that like albums are usually they're themed. So yeah, check it out if you like Christopher Lee, check it out. It's like I said, just go to YouTube Christopher Lee metal or Christopher Lee, rock or albums, anything like that, and you can check out the variety of music that he did because he performed right until the very end, which I thought was incredible.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Okay.
And it looks like Skogly says hello to everyone in the chat.
Hey, Skogly.
Hey, Skogly, I hope you're doing well, and I love your gaming streams. I'm always there. He plays. It's perfect because for me, I'm always up late, and there's nobody else streaming. But sure enough, there's Skogly with his gaming, and it keeps me company while I'm laying there in bed at night because I have trouble sleeping, like I said. So Skogly, those streams that you're doing are helping me out a lot more than I can possibly say, and I really appreciate. I enjoy it, and I'm going to keep continuing being there. I always hit the like button, and it's a wonderful stream. So everybody, I highly recommend Skogly Jotun. Excellent channel, excellent gaming. And as a reminder, I did have a poll in the chat. If you have not voted, please do so. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now and share that with everybody, and we'll see what sort of reaction we got. If I can choose the right tab, here we go. Got it. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Now I don't want to talk to myself the steps that I'm doing because then I sound like an idiot.
Well,
Yeah,
LG
definitely.
yeah, I'm always watching you guys.
And I appreciate that, LDG. That's why I'm hoping to keep these streams going. I don't want to have to tear apart my channel just to try to make YouTube happy. Stupid assholes.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, check out Skogly. He does music, he does gaming. Skogly Jotun. Definitely check him out. He's awesome.
Yeah, I used to enjoy his music streams when he'd do them on, I think it was Saturday mornings or something. He would do them for a while. I haven't seen one lately, though.
He's been doing a lot of mixed. Sometimes he'll be doing music, sometimes he'll be doing gaming.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Definitely. All right, here we go. So what grade? Looks like we got 6 votes. What grade would you give Horror Dracula? And it looks like we got 66% voted A+ to A, which is great. 33% B+ to B-, and looks like C and down got 0, which is magnificent. That means everybody enjoyed it at some certain level. And that makes me happy. I'm glad. And if you guys liked it, then I will consider having more Hammer movies in the future. This was kind of a gauge I wanted to do to see how everybody accepted it. Because I wasn't sure. I know, like I said, there were some people. In fact, I guess out of all of us tonight, I'm the only one who had seen this before. I wasn't sure how people were going to accept the Hammer movies. But if you guys like them, I'll show more of them.
I'm down.
Oh, yeah, I'd watch more. I would love to see him because I've probably seen a few Hammer movies, back in the 60s or, but I mean, it's been so long, I really don't remember them if I have seen them. So, yeah,
Well,
I'm
we're
up
going to
for
have
it.
we'll have one Hammer Tuesday every week. So next month we will have the very first Hammer Frankenstein movie with Peter Cushing, where he plays Dr. Frankenstein.
Cool.
So we'll kind of go back and forth and rotate. 1 month we'll have Dracula, 1 month we'll have Frankenstein.
Sounds good.
I'm guessing next week, because obviously this change of format is because I let people vote on if we should change the topic up each week. So I guess last week was free choice, and that was only a week ago, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, we did the Blob, and then now we did Hammer.
That
next
was Nemesis.
Yes, that
choice,
was,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it
That sure was.
It was an excellent
Great film,
choice.
by the way.
Yeah, we all had a good time that night. So next week's going to be a sci-fi movie.
Cool.
Any suggestions off the top of your guys' head?
Ooh,
Starship Troopers.
gosh.
Exclude Star Wars. Starship Troopers would be a good one. What do you guys think?
Sure, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
That
it,
would-
so I
yeah,
could watch it. Yeah.
That would be that considered sci-fi / horror, so it's actually perfect for this stream. All right, so let's do that then. I enjoy it. I love Starship Troopers. The first one is absolutely amazing.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic. It's nothing compared to the book. It's the complete opposite of the book. But we are not going to talk about the sequels to Starship Troopers. But the first one is awesome.
It is, right? It is. So then let's do that. Yeah, thank you for that suggestion, Nemesis. Once again, great job. Good choice.
Oh, thank you.
So what I'll do is I'll let everybody know. I'll publish it in my community tab that next week we're going to be covering Starship Troopers, and I'll find a link of where everybody can watch it for free, and then we'll have that ready. And I think it'll be fun. So that'll be next Tuesday night, and then let's see here, tomorrow night. Hopefully everything works out right. We've got Gilligan's Island coming up. Gorilla and I are getting close to the second season of that. And then hopefully we have a rumblings from the lab on Saturday night. And then Monday we're going to be watching season 2 of Lost in Space, first episode, which I watched today. I couldn't wait. I was too excited.
Cool.
And it did have a cliffhanger. So they
Nice.
do keep the cliffhangers throughout season 2. I guess it's season 3 when they drop them.
Okay.
But we can worry about that later on. So, all right. Is there anything you guys want to add before I wrap this up? I guess the stream went pretty quick tonight. 2.5 hours. That's not so bad.
Well, I just want to.
We did well.
I just want to finish off that flying nun. It was the last episode of season 1, episode 31. We did use the Cordwainer Bird pseudonym, but it was Harlan Ellison that wrote it.
Well, if you see Cordwainer Bird, you know it's him. Yeah. So
yeah. So
I appreciate that.
Kind of fun.
I appreciate you looking that up, PPP.
I'm still amazed he actually wrote one of those. But hey, yeah, I'm always glad to add a little bit of, little bit of something unusual once in a while,
And that would have been after Star Trek. Obviously, because that was mid-70s. Yeah, mid-70s. Because Bewitched went off the air in 73.
70 sometime.
So that had to be 74, 75. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me. All right.
Would rather watch I Dream of Jeannie. Anyways, we're not getting off topic.
No, I agree completely. I Dream of Jeannie, yes. I would, any day I'd rather watch that. In fact, you could just give me Barbara Eden and I'll be happy for the rest of my life.
Well,
that's good, right? And
yeah, who cares about the stories when you got Barbara Eden in the picture, right?
Oh man, her beauty just totally transcends time. She's hotter than any women. Everybody's talking about what's that thing that played Black Widow. I'm like, oh hell no, forget that. I'll take Linda Carter. I'll take Barbara Eden. I'll take Barbara Feldon. Any of those over. I don't even remember her name.
I'll take Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson's beautiful.
She's okay. She's all right, but
she's just a different product of a different era.
Well, not with I think it's her acting I don't like. I don't know.
Well, there you go, right?
She seems middle of the road to me. I don't know why her beauty doesn't. I mean, like Linda Carter. I mean, it's like wow, their beauty really pops out. Like Barbara Eden. And I just thought she was more middle of the road, just like the one that played Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. Middle of the road.
We've all got.
Well, I feel like ScarJo is way better than Gal Gadot, but.
She is.
We've all got our types that appeal to us, though, right? Like there's no single type of woman. But it's like I look at a woman, I either go yes or I go not so much. It's like instantly I know when I see a beautiful woman. I know. It's like that's my kind of gal right there. And it's like Barbara Feldon. Oh my God, Agent 99, smoking hot.
But not anymore. But she used to be.
No. But I mean, she was amazing looking back then.
And the voice very.
And that's one of the things that I like about this Hammer horror is that we had beautiful women, nice cleavage. Pretty good stuff. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah.
When you think about it, the women in this movie, the makeup they were very beautiful. When you watch movies from the American movies from the 50s, the makeup was off. All the women look like moms. I mean, the 50s makeup, it would make 20-year-olds look like 50-year-olds. They all look like mothers and moms. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, some of them still looked okay. Deborah Winter or whatever, Invasion of the Body Snatchers looked hot, but I don't know.
I just assumed people looked older back then.
Nope, it was makeup. A lot of it was makeup.
Oh, okay.
Because then you can see the change in the 60s when they started doing the false eyelashes, the heavy eyeliner, and all that eyeshadow. You can see the difference where they started looking, I don't know, it was different. You could see the different. I could see, like I was watching Laurel and Hardy last night, and I could see the difference of makeup like in the 20s, and then again the 30s, and then the 40s, and the 50s, and the 60s. You can see where makeup progressed and changed.
It is fascinating.
Yes. So, how are we doing on the chat, Gorilla? Did we get all? I think we did. I think Scully was the last one to talk.
We are all caught up.
Okay. And does anybody have anything to add before I close this?
No.
I know
not so much.
Getting late. Some people, I know Gorilla has to get up early tomorrow.
Yeah, I still got to cook some supper eventually. So, yeah.
Same here. But I want to thank everybody. Really, really thank you. And I really do mean that. Everybody in the chat for coming along and spending your time with us and hanging out with friends. And especially most of all of you on the panel. Thank you guys. Thank you, Gorilla, for helping me out with the chat.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
and PvP and Nemesis, obviously Nemesis, my co-host. Thank you, and once again, thank you for the excellent choice for next weekend. For next week, we definitely will be doing Starship Troopers.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. And of course, thank you, Pop.
Excellent. And I had a great time tonight, thanks to you guys. I mean, I've said it before, don't say it again. I can't do it without you.
It's always
the highlight of my week.
Always fun to be here. Yeah.
I could go on forever. If some of us didn't have to get up early tomorrow, but good things can't last forever, right? And we will be back.
That's true. Well, the thing that's great is I've been introduced to so many awesome films here that I just never got around to watching, right? Because I just have such a long watch list, and there's so many movies I haven't seen, and it's like when like Death Race 2000, films like that. I mean, it's just fantastic stuff, right? That I'd never discovered before. So it's always great fun to see films that I haven't seen. When we're doing
I'm glad to hear that. If I was to think right. Generally, I usually get positive feedback, but I'm trying to think of the only one that I think out of all the movies we've covered, the one that got the most negative feedback, which I found surprising, was The Howling. That seemed to be the one that got the most mixed reviews. But that's how I.
I'll be the odd.
That's how I.
Yeah. It's just not everyone's taste in movie. That's all.
Yeah, exactly, which is totally fine. That's the whole point, right? Just like we were talking about with women, everybody has different tastes.
Well, and it's kind of funny because you mentioned how The Blob was a big success, and yet you look at the poll, and it was the most divisive one we've ever had.
Are you talking about the remake or the original?
The remake, the one we just watched. It was the most divisive poll we've ever had.
Yep, you're right about that.
So,
come on, Ginger, let's go. You want down? There you go, Pooch. But
thank you.
All right, well, thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
and definitely subscribe to everyone's channels if you haven't.
Yes, have a wonderful night, everybody. And if you work tomorrow, drive safe. So make sure you get plenty of sleep. And take care.
It's too late for that, Pop.